Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Gfinity European Pro League Season 2 finale. I'm Richard Lewis, your host. With me on the analysis desk is Brycey and Trouty, my friends. How are you doing, boys?
Good.
Doing good.
You can see we're full of energy today. After 15 hours of Call of Duty yesterday, we're just like, oh, we'll get back to the hotel, we'll get some sleep, we'll get up, it's bright and early. We're really pumped and ready to go, aren't we, lads?
Yes. Yes, we are.
He can't even think, bless him.
Look, that's why this hairstyle happens.
So, look, well, it was a busy day yesterday.
Yes, it was.
Call of Duty events always like this? Because obviously I'm a new guy.
Yeah, more or less. Usually, actually
Probably
more,
worse, if anything. Yesterday was quite relaxed.
Oh, we've seen him. He's been all nonchalant now, like as he stumbles in 5 minutes before we go live.
Oh, yeah, Chris. I overslept on
it. Actually, I had a long sleep. It was so nice. Anyway, we'll do a quick recap of the schedule so you can see what we put ourselves through yesterday. You can see that it was all of round 5's games, then 2 games from round 6, and today we're going to close out round 6 with the remaining 2 games. Then we're going to move into round 7. So we're going to have 6 Call of Duty games, and it's going to start with an absolute barnstormer, which we'll get to in a second. But first, we're going to tell you why these people are here. And Brycey's asked himself that question many times today. But he's not going to get paid because he's terrible. But the teams that are here aren't. Yeah, wow, that's brutal, wasn't it? £7,000 for the champion, £3,000 for the runners-up. Third place gets £1,000, and fourth, a rather derisory and insulting 300 quid. Yeah, it's like your bus fare home. There you go. See ya. So, yeah, like you say, it was a beast of a day. And looking at the fixtures we've got today, it's going to start action-packed, and then it's going to go from sort of the sublime moving into the ridiculous, because we're going to end with the top versus the bottom. But just to put that in context, we'll bring up the Premiership standings for you now so you can see confirmation that Millennium have already won. And I'll tell you what, right, the money we pay the graphics team here is well spent, because look at that crown.
Yep.
That's better than the prize itself. Like, just
looks like something you would make cookies out of.
Yeah.
Like crown-shaped cookie. Looks like Burger King, actually.
Yeah. He's just said it looks like Burger King. That's hopefully not a copyright issue we've got waiting for us. At least it's just a change to talk about any fast food outlet apart from Nando's, really. Isn't it?
Maybe we should talk about the league.
No. What's your favourite fast food break? No. So anyway, you can see Millennium at the top. They've won at a canter, really. Haven't lost a single game. And they were in imperious form yesterday. And all the more impressive because they were using a stand-in. Rated's unfortunate incident, meaning that he was unable to play, but Reedy stepping in and performing admirably. Just below them, we've got Vitality, and then Infused in 3rd, VWS in 4th, and then down at the bottom we have the wretched IGI Esports. Absolutely wretched.
God.
They've got one
At least
draw.
they won 3 maps yesterday.
They did win 3 maps yesterday, which of course they didn't win a single map in the online component. HyperGames just above them, and Spirit Gaming just above that. Epsilon in the middle, like the meat in a sexy sandwich. So we're going to have a look at the fixtures we've got now. Of course, this is round 6, so the ones that are grayed out took place yesterday. We're going to start with HyperGames versus Spirit Gaming. It is that battle to avoid relegation, or potential relegation, I should say. Then that's going to be followed by IGI Esports, as we've said, the true awful team in this league, the ones that have really struggled. And they're going to go against VWS, who impressed us yesterday.
They were really good. I mean, for today's proceeding of events, the importance of the games kind of go up and then dip towards the end again. But
Dip?
Yeah.
That's a dip. I think that towards the end, it drops
all right,
off a cliff.
All right.
It gets kicked to death at the bottom.
It plummets down. But yeah, so the big game that we got today, Infused versus Vitality, it basically decides who finishes second in the league, which is still a massive importance.
Yeah, of course. Sure.
I mean, Vitality, the champions last season, obviously want to try and finish as high as they possibly can. Infused probably punching quite far above their weight, considering how they got on yesterday and how they were not
impressive yesterday. They were not impressive at all yesterday. So that was the biggest surprise from us. And funny enough, Infused would have been in a lot better position today had they not been so awful yesterday.
Yeah, and I mean, as you said, it's a real battle to get second place now, and it's not to be sniffed at because the difference between second place and third place in prize money alone, it's $2,000. Yeah. So you know, it's everything to play for, and as you said as well, Infused kind of have something to prove, I think, today, because yesterday they were really poor actually. And speaking as a COD novice like myself, even I can see when someone's not playing well.
I mean, they showed moments of expertise.
Yeah. But it wasn't what we were expecting. We were expecting with a roster that's pretty much studded with
pretty
superstars
packed. It's like
and names. These are names players. They're internationally recognised players in their roster. They're not a single one of them hasn't competed internationally. Not a single one of them is a newbie or a veteran or is inexperienced. They've all played at the top of this game for a little while. They should be performing better than they were.
I mean, you blamed the sort of composition of the team. You think they don't necessarily have enough firepower to really compete with the big boys. I'll ask you, T91. We're carrying that over from yesterday because, as I said, the Trout 91 or whatever it is, it doesn't work for me. What do you think of the team composition of this Infused team?
It's got a lot of good names in it, but as I said, as you said, even, they don't have the firepower to bring to the front line. I think that their structure isn't quite there as well. Obviously, being a pickup team, it's hard to get a proper structure in place. It's hard to really make, shot callers out of that. There's a lot of confusion between the two teams, between the team and what's going on. The funny thing is, in the game that they played yesterday in VWS, obviously they struggled in the first map, but in the second, they actually tactically outplayed VWS by bringing out 3 ARs, which actually really worked for them. It's not necessarily the most meta thing to do, but it actually benefited them in a lot of ways, and they pulled out 2 maps out of nowhere. The funny thing is that they then got tactically outplayed by VWS, and they realized that they were playing into Infuse's way of playing. They then countered it by sitting back and waiting for Infuse to start getting a little bit complacent. And obviously that impacted the way the map went. VWS ended up coming out the winner on that one. Infuse just need to believe in their tactics today, and they should be able to... They could pull out a victory against Vitality. Having said that, although Vitality had problems yesterday with their communication, in that last game against Epsilon, it looked like it was starting to click.
I think it'll be a close-ish game. However, Vitality are the stronger side. They're the more, chemically, solid side. They've got the chemistry. They're actually a team which I don't think Infuse really are. So I think Vitality certainly have the edge. And for me, it's got to be Vitality win. I can't see it any other way. It'd be really disappointing if it is quite cut and shut for Vitality because Infuse would have come here and won nothing.
Well, let's talk about the game we're going to be bringing you first of all at home. HyperGames versus Spirit Gaming. Now, I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit here, Bryce.
Right.
Because, it's early. Let's get it. Set the tone.
Yeah,
right?
That's fine. Go for it.
What is it? Why do you hate both these teams?
Why do I hate both these teams?
I mean, I don't want to ask you a loaded question. But you were super critical of both of them yesterday. I mean, you were arguing with Spanish fans on Twitter all day yesterday.
No, see, there's a difference.
Which, frankly, is really unprofessional. I must say that. You wouldn't catch me doing anything like that.
I don't think I quite reached your levels yet. But no, I understand what you're getting at, and I don't hate either of these teams. It was more... Okay, so the thing is, God, there's a lot of pandering that a lot of people do. I didn't want to do that. I want to tell the truth about these teams and, how they're actually going to perform. So I was honest with their chances here. If you look at the rest of the lineups, and I've done this with American teams as well, when you talk about elite level teams in America, there are 2 or 3 elite level teams, and UK teams behind that, and Europe's even further behind that. So there's no point me sitting there going, oh, this team could do quite well. I'm not going to sit there and talk about a League One team playing out against in the World Cup or one of these big competitions. There are disparities of class.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about it, it's not they could still be top 12, but between top 12 and top 2 is a massive gulf. And you have to acknowledge that when you talk about these teams. Because if you don't, you're actually doing them a disservice of if they do well in the game, it's actually a massive achievement for them to kind of reach up into that level. If you just go, oh, they could have a chance, you're actually pandering saying, well, if they actually get rolled over, then you're just saying, oh, they're absolutely terrible, it makes them look worse. Because you said, oh, they could have a chance. You say, if you give them a realistic estimation of their actual ability, and then if they surpass that, then they have done a good job.
Yeah. As my wise old red-headed colleague Thorin from Counter-Strike says, if everybody is good, nobody is.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So with that in mind, Trouty, who's going to do the best out of these two teams? We've talked about Spirit Gaming, kind of how they may be benefited from the hosting because of, the fact they're obviously in Spain, and that can make it difficult for people playing against them. And when they've come to LAN, they didn't look quite as impressive yesterday. But obviously, HyperGames, they're battling. They're right down there, and they looked, as you said, a bit scrappy and had this sort of aggressive play style without the requisite skills to really justify playing so aggressively.
For me, It is a tough one. This is probably, as we said yesterday, it's going to be a good battle between the two teams. They're both on a similar par, I think. I mean, they've had similar-ish results. HyperGames, their only wins come against IGI, a swift 6-0, which obviously was online. Spirit Gaming playing them yesterday and drew 3-all. So that's an interesting one to take into mind. They also got a draw against Infuse and beat Vitality, both online. So they have had some results against better teams online. So that online factor may be coming into play. But this is on LAN. I think it's going to be a tough one. I don't know if anyone's got enough to separate each other. I think it will be close. It will be a close game. And with the way that yesterday went, I think these two have got a lot to prove to not only us, but to themselves. So I'm going to have to go with a draw. I think a 3-all draw is pretty fair for these two teams.
Interesting. That is interesting because I was mulling it over in my mind as well, and part of me was leaning towards it because of the S&Ds. I'm sitting there going, if I've seen the Spanish go toe to toe with top level squads in that game, and I definitely think they can steal a respawn. So I was leaning towards a tie, but I'm actually going to pick HyperGames. I'm going to pick them 4-2. I think they'll certainly get an S&D and they will nick a respawn somewhere, but I don't really want to say them doing it twice. So I'm going to go just with HyperGames. But yeah, I can see why you would pick a tie in that scenario. It is going to be a close game.
Now, I'm not going to make a prediction, obviously, because it's just a shot in the dark. But I do have a feeling, actually, that HyperGames is going to do this. I just think. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I was having a look at them earlier this morning. I think the French are hungry. I think they're going to win this one. So.
Well,
there's
actually...
no joke coming. I saw you smile there. No
I was waiting. I was thinking, here we go.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you say that, but the Spanish were here way before the French warming up. So the Spanish are actually quite hungry for this game.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll wait and see. I've got a feeling.
You've got a feeling.
I've got a feeling. When Richard gets a feeling, it's a good thing. So thanks a lot for your thoughts, gentlemen. We'll be back on the desk a little bit later. What we're going to do now is we're going to throw over to our first game of the day. It is the battle at the bottom. It's going to be brought to you by Ink and Courage. Take it away, boys.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are live here at the caster's desk for our championship Sunday. Obviously, at the end of today, our top 4 teams will be paid out for their impressive performances throughout the Gfinity EU Pro League Season 2. Courage joined by Ink. Our first matchup of the day going to be HyperGames versus Spirit Gaming. And Ink, I've got to ask you, you just heard the predictions from Trout and Brycey there on the analyst desk. Who do you think's got the edge here in this series?
Now, I'm going to go with HyperGames to win this series, but only just. I think it really could go down to the wire. It wouldn't surprise me to see a draw, so I can agree with both analysts to an extent.
Yeah.
What I will say, though, is obviously yesterday HyperGames were defeated, which, once again, we spoke about this yesterday, mentality, bouncing back. Spanish did turn up yesterday after a disappointing result, to say the least. But at the moment in the table, Spirit Gaming are more comfortable than HyperGames, but that can all change with the result today.
And something to look at is, obviously, these bottom 3 teams, you worry of who's going to be relegated. HyperGames and Spirit Gaming both have that in the back of their minds today. They do not want to be knocked out of the top Premier League that we see here in the European scene. Now, obviously, IGI, the last place squad at the moment, they still have to play VWS and then Millennium to end the day. Millennium already winning this Season 2, taking home £7,000. So you got to think, are they going to face a full throttle Millennium? Is it going to be more of a relaxed game? Also, VWS in a spot where they're trying to catch up to those second and third place teams to place higher in the money. So they're going to face a very tough and formidable opponent there. On the other side of things, though, you have HyperGames in that 7th place spot. Right now, if this completely ended here, they would be relegated.
Yeah.
But they have to face Spirit Gaming here, a massive swing game. And then later on in the day, they face VWS. That's one that could honestly go either way if HyperGames plays their full abilities and VWS kind of plays a little bit below average. And then finally, the last team to look at, Spirit Gaming, obviously with their matchup now versus HyperGames. And then later on today, facing off against Epsilon EU. These bottom 3 teams involved in almost every single matchup we're going to be streaming today.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is going to be a close one through the end of the tournament.
Yeah, well, this is arguably the key relegation game of the day because in all realistic fashion, IGI are probably going down. If they didn't have the likes of Millennium as one of their games today, maybe they'd have had a chance to maybe get a point here and maybe a sneaker win in one of the later series. But coming up against Millennium later is probably not going to be very pretty to watch if Millennium carry on the momentum they're going. So IGI are probably going down. With that in mind, there are still 3 teams which can still go down at the end of today. This game, for me, will probably decide who. And the other game to watch out for later will be Epsilon versus Spirit Gaming as well. Epsilon, you know, going into that will be the favorites to beat Spirit Gaming, but Spirit Gaming can even nick a point. Then all of a sudden, Epsilon might start to get dragged back down. But with that being in mind, in my view, this game settles who goes down unless we see a shock result later today.
Oh, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Obviously, there's still a chance that Epsilon doesn't make it out of in the top 6 and obviously avoiding relegation. But a lot of things would need to go into play to make that happen. An example of that would be Spirit Gaming, obviously, and HyperGames going to face off now. HyperGames would need to beat Spirit Gaming to put them at 6 points. They have a match later on today versus VWS. If they can go 2-0 on today's matches, that would bump them ahead of Epsilon in the overall score. Also, Spirit Gaming, they face Epsilon in their second matchup of the day. If they can beat Epsilon, there's your example of Epsilon being relegated. Yep. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But we are going to hop into our first series of the day. Let's take a look at the maps we're going to be seeing. Obviously, the Super 6 series, no matter how much one of these teams could go up, we're going to see all 6 games played. To start things off, Compound Hardpoint. Fast-paced map. We'll see which of these 2 teams is awake on this early Sunday morning. Then Retreat Hardpoint, come back Uplink. And then through the end, we'll have 1 more Uplink and 2 more Search and Destroy games, Inc. We're loading into game number 1. Who do you want to watch off the start?
Well, I've got to start with the main man for HyperGames, and that is going to be Tony JS. And in the first hill yesterday, when we were watching Epsilon, Swanee with the AR took up a very strong position and was literally picking off kills on that first hardpoint. First hardpoint, obviously, bang smack in the middle of this, well, very small map. It has to be said,
smack.
It reminds me of one of the old maps, to be honest with you, from the older CODs. But as you can see, Tony JS putting some covering fire with an AR, but you don't really see any team get any lead on this one. And we say that for most first hard points on every map, but this one in particular, it's so easy to contest.
Oof. Off the start, kills going in favor of the boys of Spirit Gaming. I mentioned my favorite gamer tag in all of the COD scene, Palooka, is in this game right now, struggling at 0-2, but the 12-0 lead and growing. Spirit Gaming doing a fantastic job of staying alive inside the hardpoint.
Yeah, well, 15-0, 17-0, I should say, and that's actually increasing, so it looks like my point of easily contesting this hill is starting to go out of the window, and I'm not sure if that's because Spirit Gaming playing very well and defending this hill to the best of their ability, or HyperGames just don't seem to be at their best already. It looks like they need to warm up a little bit. And we were saying that on the analyst desk. Spirit Gaming turned up around half an hour before even their scheduled practice time, and they were just grinding that free-for-all. And to be honest with you, that can be the difference in these type of games with regards to map number 1 at least, because HyperGames turned up not on time, so a little bit later than Spirit Gaming. So it looks like the early momentum has gone in favor of the team which has turned up earlier, so to speak.
Oh, a team kill there out of Sammy. Fortunately for him, his gamer tag is all over the kill feed. He picked up 3 kills of his own there. 35-11 lead. Sammy, 10-2 on a 4 streak. A monstrous start from him on this championship Sunday. Tojor staying alive in the zigzag area, picking up the 2-piece. His teammates are holding down the spawn. If you haven't been able to watch Compound Hardpoint, Palooka is setting himself up in a perfect position to ensure that his team always has the favorable spawn area to push in from. And to be quite honest with you, Inc., it reflects in the score as they now have a 40-second lead.
Yeah, but Palooka, it looks like he's had a bit of a monstrous start, currently 1-8 after the first 2 minutes. But we've seen this a few times from Palooka yesterday, but he has... Sometimes he just has a bit of a slow start and then gets back into it. Other times, he really does struggle throughout a certain map. But with that in mind, Tojor currently on this P3 hard point. And we saw this an awful lot yesterday, the dark corner. Yeah,
I'm not happy with how he played that one, getting too aggressive, deciding to peek out, and he got killed by the nade. Veziak doing a similar thing here, deciding to just pop in towards that corner area. You can just see how much of a power position it is. A combined 7 streak right now between Tony JS and Veziak. They're now beginning to mount the comeback.
Yeah, well, Veziak here currently on a 3 streak. Oh, he's actually going to turn around and put a bullet into his own teammate there. Like a communication.
He's just spinning around
on those sides, but he's still alive. That's the important thing. Palooka is going to challenge from the front. Veziak just pre-firing over that head glitch. Finally picks up the kill on Palooka, who's still struggling down on 2 and 11. But by the look of it, HyperGames starting to get back into this game
he is playing
slow start.
He is playing this so perfectly, Ink, knowing exactly when to challenge with the AR. He's brought his team back in the game. What was a 40-second lead for Spirit Gaming has now been completely wiped out. We're now into hard point number 4. Early control going over to UFO and the boys.
Well, UFO just get punched up there by Melee, but as you can see, Riskin is in the hill with the support of Melee behind him. Riskin wins the first gun battle there. He's going to win the second one. He's under fire. Oh, no, his teammate actually cleans it up for him. He's going to slip down the middle of that hard point as well.
Now, that's where I'd like to see him just stand underneath for a minute, give himself the time to regen his health. He had 2 teammates inside the hard point. Unfortunately, there he does die, getting that favorable spawn, though. Flooding right back in. Riskin picks up the 3-piece, and Veziak says, you know what, it's time to calm down a little bit. He's going to pick him up with a team grenade kill. The lead now, though, in favor of the boys on HyperGames. They're up by 18.
Yeah, well, once again, you've got to focus on Palooka, now 3 and 15. And right now, he really needs to up the kills because his team is starting to struggle. They were getting away with it at first because Sammy was just going off, dropping kills for fun, 4 streaks, 5 streaks after the first 2 minutes of play. But now, with 6 minutes remaining, those numbers are starting to catch up to him.
Mello was getting a little bit too aggressive towards that back yellow side of things. The rest of his teammates inside the hard point were luckily able to win a couple gun battles. Early control of this final hard point of the first rotation going over to HyperGames. They're continuing to build their lead. Tony JS, a monstrous start, 14 and 9, locking down all sorts of areas on the map with that BAL. Now finding himself in a power position. Here, Top Zebra picks up the kill on Palooka, challenges Tojor as well, wins that one and gets the third. Tony JS, 17 and 9 on a 3 streak, making a statement here with the AR.
Well, this is what Tony JS offers this HyperGames side, just complete AR dominance and map control. And although he gets taken out there, Tojor's in a position where, well, Tojor actually picked up the kill, but it was actually Riskin who traded the kill there. But this is what Tony JS offers you, as I've said, just map control, AR dominance. He just doesn't tend to miss shots at all. But Sammy here, 17 and 15, start to slow the pace down ever so slightly here. As you can see, lead still in favor of HyperGames, 30 seconds in it, back to the P2 of the rotation. So as you can see, Palooka has started to make a bit of a fight back as well. 12 and 20 now. Still not pretty on the eye, but it's a lot better than what it was. Yeah,
right now, Tojor doing all he can to stop the aggression from the B building. Rotating back towards yellow, he gets cut down by Veziak, the 2-piece on the flank. A great push coming from HyperGames. They're back in control of the hard point. And looking at things right now, Ink, UFO and Palooka, very slow starts to this first series, a combined -15. Yesterday, UFO, especially in the hard points, I think we had the opportunity to cast one of them. He was picking up 2 pieces left and right. A big entry player for his team when trying to break the hard point. This game, though, been playing very flat. Only 1 capture. He needs to turn things up here on side number 2.
Yeah, well, a little bit of inconsistency there from the Spirit Gaming player, but with that in mind, they're still in this map. There's only 42 seconds in it, but they need to start playing spawns a little bit more, in my view. Once again, seeing HyperGames in strong positions, holding spawns, for these important rotations, and Spirit Gaming
that was massive.
Been a little bit lackluster.
That was massive.
How many important gun battles has Mello won, though?
Mello just won that gunfight. You can see on your minimap all 4 players of Spirit Gaming spawning all the way across the map there in the next hard point. That is not going to help them. It's going to take another, 10 to 15 seconds so far just to rotate back towards this hill. And now, as you can see on your minimap, 3 blue arrows just waiting to pick up those kills. Finally, trades coming back and forth. It does appear that Spirit Gaming do get the better end of that one, but look at the score, Ink. A full 1-minute lead and growing for HyperGames.
Yeah, well, that's what HyperGames kind of offer you, or what Tony JS has offered, to be honest with you. But that being said, looking at that kill feed, HyperGames right now, they're consistently slaying as a unit. 24 kills, 25 kills, 26 kills, and only Mello down on 19. But he's on a 3 streak, 4 streak now after picking up a 2-piece in the feed. And we're going to switch on board with him. He is a little bit weak. He has been tagged up, gets an assist as well. So we obviously put bullets into Sammy. Sammy. Gun battle coming up again. Oh, drops to the floor. Covered, though, by the main man himself, Tony GS. Wins another gun battle on a 5 streak. Is it going to be 6? Is a 6, but does get taken down. But HyperGames right now are just getting so big.
And here's that power position. 2 players inside the hard point. You've got one hiding behind the pillar. The other one is Veziok with the AR getting more aggressive towards this back trailer area. Unfortunately, he does fall. But while having 2 people in this dark corner at all times, you can continue to lock down the time. And earlier in this game, it was Spirit Gaming up by 40 seconds. Since then, a 130-point swing. It's almost a 100-point lead for the boys on HyperGames.
And to be honest with you, that does take a level of discipline in your game, because if you go 30 seconds down in the first set of rotations, your head can drop a little bit. But HyperGames have just been totally dominant the past few minutes, and that is reflected in the lead. So Spirit Gaming have got it all to do. It's almost impossible for them to come back mathematically. They're going to need to hold pretty much every single second, and on Compound, such a small map, very difficult to do.
This game was at one point tied up 61-61. The slaying was dead even. Since then, HyperGames now positive 30. As a team in the slaying department, they've completely locked down the hills. Now they are back in control, only 30 seconds away from closing this one out before the full relegation.
Yeah, Veziok picking
regulation,
up
not relegation.
Don't worry.
That's something I've been saying all day.
I forgive you. Don't worry. Veziok, though, almost on a 40 bomb here. On a 4 streak again. It's going to be 39th kill. Is it going to be 40th? Oh, just taken out there from behind by Tojol. Riskin, though, trades it up on the Spanishman. But as you can see, Riskin also on a streak. The amount of streaks we're seeing from HyperGames. 3s, 4s, 5s, you've even seen 6s and 7s. HyperGames right now just totally outslaying this Spirit Gaming side.
Veziok definitely ate his Weetabix this morning. That's a thing, right? I got that right?
Weetabix, yeah.
Good, okay, good. I want to make sure. 244 to 134. They should have this one closed out any moment. There it is, a statement in game number 1 from the boys on HyperGames. Oh, man, their shot was on point, especially Veziok. Here's your final kill cam from Mello. And he really had the most laid-back game, only 27-25. One of the lower amount of engagements on his team. But in the end, the rest of his squad went absolutely massive. There's a look at the Spirit Gaming booth. A frustrating game 1 for the Spanish squad.
Yeah, well, looking at the defense column as well, Spirit Gaming only managed 5 defense as a whole team. Veziok matched that on his own. So in every department, HyperGames were just dominant. Every player from HyperGames also finishing positive. Every player from Spirit Gaming, unfortunately, finishing negative. But with that in mind, it is only map number 1. It was a DLC map. Spirit Gaming may not be too comfortable on a DLC map. I mean, it sounds a little bit of a weird statement to make, but some teams do struggle on the newer maps and struggle to adapt. And especially some of these European sides, they don't like change too much. They like to be comfortable and familiar. But with that in mind, they're both in the same shoes, or in the same boat, I should say. Headed into map number 2, also going to be a hard point. Yesterday, we sat in casted Spirit Gaming, 2 hard points, 2 uplinks, and then 2 in S&Ds. Exact same in this series.
And something to point out, too, is Palooka, I think, was really the player for Spirit Gaming who was doing all he could to lock down the spawn areas. I think he had the most knowledge, it appeared, at least just from watching the game, of exactly how Compound Hardpoint worked. Unfortunately for him, HyperGames was just a step above. Game number 1 going in favor of HyperGames, 250 to 140 or 134. Now we're hopping over to Retreat Hardpoint, and the scary fact is that that game 1 map, that first map, was Spirit Gaming's pick. Now we're going into HyperGames' pick. That's going to be Retreat. And this is a map where your ARs can completely dictate how the game is played out. And if Veziok can continue to perform like he did last game for HyperGames, I do not see how Spirit Gaming stand any chance.
It's not just Veziok either. That's the bad news for Spirit Gaming. Also, Tony JS as well with that AR dominance. You have to say. It looks like Tojol's going to pull out an AR as well. He's using a sub in the previous map. We're going to see how that works out. But we're going to have to start on board with Veziok dropping over 40 kills in the previous hardpoint, if I'm not mistaken. And it looks like he's going to be pushing this Towels area. Big first gun battle. You just can't take anything away from him right now. Sammy does manage to trade it out, though. But this first hardpoint, yesterday, we saw Vitality get 44 points from it. And you don't see that all too often, but this is what this hard point offers if your ARs cover you.
And you really, what it came down to was the ARs winning the gunfights and the sub players knowing exactly where to position themselves. Obviously, there's times where you want to be in this spot when you're risking, right? And that's a perfect example of where you sit in that corner when the players are pushing from the dub and bottom spa area. If you can sit there, you've got all the cover in the world. Unfortunately, the dash feature in AW does give that peeker's advantage over to the player coming from the dub stairs. But if you can rotate towards the either side of the red wall, hug that area, kind of blocking out the different nades that can come in, you can definitely chain together some time. I'm on board with Mello at the start. He's going to be the main player watching over the pool side. Now rotating into the hill. Let's see how long HyperGames can hold this one. Well,
Tony JS actually started 5-0 in that first hard point, but HyperGames still went in to P2 at a slight disadvantage. So Spirit Gaming played that hill very well to actually stay in the lead despite getting outslayed pretty much single-handedly by Tony. Nicely done. However, Sammy, using that AR, started off the previous map like a house on fire. Currently 5-5. Gumball coming up on stairs. Oh, both players very weak at this stage, but Mello trades it up. And there we go. Paluk is also going to respond with a kill of his own. But right now, Veziok on another streak here. Bloodthirsty 5-kill streak after literally 90 seconds of play. Right now, it looks like this HyperGames side is here, and they are here to play.
Oh yeah, Veziok having the series, well, his best series so far this weekend, 8-3, finally getting cut down off of that 6 streak. The score now going back in favor of Spirit Gaming. It's been close though, through and through from the start. You saw Palooka start off last game, I believe it was 1-10. This time around, it's UFO at 2-10. Not performing to his higher standards so far here on Championship Sunday.
Well, UFO, you know, we've spoken about him already in this series. He didn't have a great compound, but with that in mind, yesterday, UFO was very impressive.
Electric.
He was ridiculously impressive at some times, and S&D as well, he's definitely one player to look out for, but I think by his standards and the standards he set yesterday, he will be disappointed. But when you're coming up against Veziok and Tony in the form they are, both already on double digits kill-wise, it's going to be difficult for any player.
Tojor doing all he can for his team with that AR in hand, currently at 11-11 and sitting inside the hard point. You can see just trying to put down fire on the players pushing from the dub area. Spots one player getting in the area of that back rock, takes him down 51-42. A very close game here on Retreat Hardpoint, and UFO just stomped on Mello. I have no clue what just happened there. A nice 2-piece for him. He's now 7-12 on a 3 streak, beginning to heat up.
Well, that's exactly what he needs to do if Spirit Gaming are to win this map. They are currently in the lead by 16 seconds, though, so they'll be happy at this stage, although UFO's going to have to go big here. Oh, wow, taken down there by Risk in sub versus sub. Tojor, though, using that AR, trying to get some cover fire, but notice here, Spirit Gaming, only one player going for those spawns, and spawns so crucial on this map. If you get pinned in gym, this is exactly what's going to happen. Bottom left of your screen, that feed. All HyperGames.
See, that was just a very poor push out of the boys on Spirit Gaming. They tried to flood 4 players into the hill. They got cut down by the Bowls sitting bottom jungle. This is what they needed to do. They needed to have players like Sammy and UFO go on the flank. It's definitely working much better this time around. You can see they've regained hill control, but Tony JS definitely has something to say about that with the beautiful hip fire on Palooka. He's regained control of the hard point.
Sometimes Tony pushes in hills with the bow, and I think, what are you doing? And then he just produces hip-fire 2-bullet kills, and it's absolutely insane. So much versatility to his game. I feel like we've spoken about him non-stop, but he's just playing so well at the moment. Veziok also 17-10, both players carrying on where they left off, I should say. However, Palooka takes out Tony JS. UFO also takes out Veziok. Mello's going to have to go big in bottom lobby. Taken down, though, by Tojor, who picks up a 2-piece of his own. Spirit Gaming holding on to the lead, but they're starting to struggle.
My gosh, Tojor just got absolutely destroyed by Veziok. Mello now hopping inside the hard point with that sub in hand. You can see every player I hop onto is getting taken down. Tojor finally getting some time for his team. Spirit Gaming now up by 34 seconds. And Tojor just can't be killed. He's on a 4 streak.
Yeah, well, it looks like Tojor pulling out the AR. We said at the start of the game, used a sub in the previous map, switching to an AR. What can he do? And it seems to be working for him and his side very, very well. Currently on a 4 streak, also flanking those spawns as well. Definitely want those dub spawns, in my view, for this first hard point. Offer some covering fire. Tony JS, the other AR in this game, is under some pressure here. Tojor switching to the sub. Mello getting taken down in Tal's area, but Spirit Gaming, look at their lead. It's going up and up.
Really, the only reason why the boys of HyperGames had early control of this courtyard hill was because of Mello. He got a 2-piece on top. Dub was using that area to his advantage, spotted a player pushing from bottom lobby. Now, though, Tojor doing all he can to hop on that top courtyard area. He gets traded out. 113-75. Spirit Gaming definitely impressing me in game number 2, and it's because of plays like that from Palooka.
Yeah, this was the HyperGame pick, though, so this is probably a big, well, this is definitely a big map for Spirit Gaming. Losing their own pick in map number 1, they definitely need to take one of the picks from HyperGames, and if they can respond straight away, the momentum then switches back to Spirit Gaming, and they need momentum as soon as possible, because if they lose this series, they will go second bottom in the EU Pro League, and no team wants to be there, as that means you're going to be relegated if you're there at the end of the day.
Absolutely not, and because they have to face off against Epsilon later today, which will not be an easy fixture at all. As we rotate towards the Statue Hill, players getting picked off from either squad, it does look like the slight number advantage in regards to that top attic area is going to go to Spirit Gaming. And UFO hits every single shot, making it look easy, spinning all around, gets a fourth as well. One final challenge coming from Pool. He decides to just regain control of bottom lobby. A full 1 minute lead now for Spirit Gaming. This is honestly almost the exact opposite of what we saw in game number 1, where it was close at the beginning and then HyperGames pulled away. Spirit Gaming now doing that as we just have 3 minutes remaining.
Well, HyperGames are actually outslaying the Spirit Gaming side, but it looks like they're not utilizing it. And the thing about Spirit Gaming is they're getting the important kills. Look at that feed from the Spanish. 4 men down for HyperGames there, which means they're just going to spawn out, but it's only scrap time, so they might even help HyperGames go for that rotation in bottom lobby. Mellow, though, first
this is a big
battle.
Hill.
It is a massive hill. Bearing in mind, if HyperGames don't get significant time here, headed into bar, it's going to prove very difficult to even get back into this game.
Oh, absolutely. This is a hard point where I feel like their entire goal should just be to keep the game closer. If they can bring it within 40 and then move to bottom dirt, if they can have Veziak and Tony JS set up bottom jungle with those ARs and put their fire down from range, that's where they can begin to chain together some time. Unfortunately, though, they continue to lose the gun battles in the hard point, and it shows right now in the score. Mello doing all he can to bring his team back in this game. He's now 32-25, leading the game in kills.
He went on a little bit of a spree as well in bottom lobby while you're talking, and right now his shot seems to be on. Saying that, everyone's shot in this lobby seems to be on predominantly anyway. Tony GS currently in the hill with an AR. He just doesn't care. He's going to challenge everything, whether he's got an AR or a sub. But as you can see, lots of trade kills going down. Mello picked up a 2-piece Tojo trade.
There it is.
Riskin trades it in response. Scrap time. 30 seconds remaining.
And this is exactly where you've seen the kills start to go in favor of the boys of HyperGames inside the hard point. But as I say that, they get wiped for dead. And now a beautiful positioning coming out of Spirit Gaming. They know exactly where the opponents are spawning from in that bottom spa area. Thankfully for HyperGames, though, they're able to sneak out of it and catch a couple players off guard. They've regained control of the hard point.
Yeah, well, Riskin currently on the hill itself. 12 caps to his name as well, so doing significant hill work. Being challenged by 2 players. Oh, and look at that break from Spirit Gaming. Tony's going to have to go big on top dubs there. Veziak's been taken down in the hill itself. Tojo on another 4 spree, pre-firing that bottom gym area, taken down, though, by Riskin. However, there's not much in it. I think there's around 40 seconds in it with 60 seconds remaining, so HyperGames is looking done and dusted.
I've got to say, HyperGames ARs on this hill have been completely wiped out. They have been non-factors. They should be doing so much better on that bottom dirt hard point, and now with only 48 seconds remaining, oh, this one is all done and dusted, Inc. 187-145. That is going to do it. Spirit Gaming will tie back up the series 1-1.
And that's a big, big response after losing the first round. Bearing in mind, they did get 250 pointed as well. It wasn't a game that was close and went right down to the wire and the clock ticked down. It was just HyperGames going off. But what a response from Tojo in particular. 39 kills. Still got time for the 40 bomb as well. Palooka, though, really stepped up in this game. And UFO, he was 2-11 at one point in this game, I think. And now he's 29-32. What a recovery from the Spanish side. But with that being said, is Tojo going to drop 40? I don't think he is. He's going to get taken out there. And there we go. Mello is going to drop 40, but can he get it? Can he get? No. Nope. He's going to get taken out again, but still an impressive map from the Spanish.
The slang was almost completely even through the end of that one. Riskin had a little bit of a shaky game, but something to point out. Palooka and UFO bouncing back from what was a rough game at number 1, even a rough start of game number 2 for both those players. Winning the gun battles in the hill, a major reason why their team was able to get it done. And this is a really interesting stat line. We'll bring back up the scoreboard for you to see exactly how this one broke down. But You look at the Sentinel squad, you look at HyperGames, 4 defends, 6 defends, and 2 defends. On the other side of things, only a combined 7 defends out of Spirit Gaming. When you look at that one, you think, oh, I mean, obviously, HyperGames did a better job of holding down the hard point. Well, no, that couldn't be less true. Spirit Gaming did a much better job of flooding the hill, regaining control of it, and chaining together that time a 35-second victory in game number 2 for Spirit Gaming.
Yeah, well, obviously, looking at the scoreboard, I really feel for Mello as well. Mello, particularly in the lobby hardpoint as well, was just picking up 2-piece after 2-piece, breaking the hill single-handedly and defending hills single-handedly. And I think that is reflected in his defend as well. 4 defends in the end for him, but 43 kills and on the losing side. But saying that, looking at the slaying, it looks like HyperGames just didn't make the most of that kill advantage. And sometimes it happens.
Especially off the start. I mean, you were hitting the nail on the head. You said the slaying so in favor of HyperGames. The score was completely knotted up. Game 2 going over to Spirit Gaming. I think that really caught both of us off guard, especially as that was HyperGames' map choice. But now this is where things begin to get interesting. Come back, Uplink. Your game number 3. A map that comes down to a lot of split-second decisions. I do not know what to expect from these 2 squads.
Well, the thing is we've just seen prime example of HyperGames not utilizing their slaying ability with the final score. However, Uplink, you'd think that the team which outslays tends to win, especially on this map as well. If you get 4 down, the respawn delay is just such a killer. But with that in mind, Tojor, perhaps offering glass control with the support of UFO, could give Spirit Gaming a prime opportunity to take back-to-back maps here.
Well, looks like neither team going with a setup play. I always love to see if a squad will try to bring that out to get momentum right in their favor. Early kills all going in favor of HyperGames. It does look like the Guns have woken up from that squad. They're going to dunk first. 2-0 lead in the first 25 seconds.
Well, that was just all about the first 2-piece there from Riskin. Rushing glass with a sub.
He's 5-0.
I don't think Spirit Gaming were expecting it, and now Risk is actually going to get the pass to Veziok, and Veziok's going to make it 4-0 after 35 seconds. HyperGames have started like a house on fire. Tony also offering that glass control with the AR, and right now Spirit Gaming, they really need to kind of lift their heads up.
Ink, I'll be honest with you, I don't understand the house on fire reference at all, but you're getting me hyped. A 4-0 lead. We're only 1 minute into this one. Trading kills going down back and forth. Veziok finally getting cut down for the first time this game. Tojor and the Spirit Gaming squad have regained control of their base.
Palooka has been stunned, though, in glass, so it's not looking good for him, but he's still alive at this stage. Tojor is actually going to run around the back. Sammy offering cover as well, but Tony, out of nowhere, hits Tojor from behind. But as you can see, Palooka so weak right now, and he hits a pass. This should be a dunk here. Should be 4-2.
Okay, deciding to pass it off to his teammates. He was weak. Nice heads-up play. They're able to get the dunk in, and just like that, Spirit Gaming are on the board, and they just have 1 player to beat to continue the rally, and they're going to do just that.
Yeah, well, 4 streak from Palooka, 5 streak from Sammy. Hey, they realize they've had a slow start. They think, right, guys, let's kind of slow down the pace a little bit, approach their base 1 point at a time, and that's exactly what they've done, hitting another point there on the supposed bad side. But right now, HyperGames now under pressure themselves, so this game is going back and forth.
Mello just had a massive kill, top yellow, was able to turn around and pick up the kill on Tojor. That regained control of yellow for his team, their base, now having peace of mind that there is no one they have to worry about. And just as I say that, they go 3 dead momentarily. Tojor gets taken down by another 2-piece from Mello. Make it 3. Mello, his gun skill has been on all series long, and he is not stopping now in game number 3.
Well, Mello actually a recent acquisition from Millennium. And as you can see, Riskin's actually hit another 1-pointer hit. His first 1-pointer, I should say. But 5-3 is going to re-extend the lead for HyperGames. Takes some pressure off perhaps, but at this stage Spirit Gaming, they're far from out of this, and right now they're looking more dangerous. But that being said, another 1-pointer coming in. 6-3, probably a little bit sloppy there from Spirit Gaming. Probably should have anticipated that.
Love that play from Veziok. Instead of being greedy, just goes for the 1-point toss and connects. A 2-possession game with 2 minutes remaining on side number 1, but you've got all the signs leading towards Spirit Gaming going on the offensive.
Well, Palooka in glass with this drone. Tojor in support of him as well, but Mello winning that gunbow against Sammy has scared him, but Tojor did trade it up, but by the look of it, probably a wise decision. You don't want to take too many risks in that position, especially when you're only 3 points down after being on the supposed worst side. Sammy, though, up with an AR at this stage, however, up against 4 of HyperGames. Potential attack coming in.
Oh, and Veziok with the heads-up play to know that someone was flanking. picks up that first kill. That's going to get bottom middle control for his squad. Tojor with the heads-up play that will stop the aggression. He grabs the drone and tosses it right in the back of HyperGames' base. That's going to bring the attention of 3 players back, giving his squad enough time to regain blue control.
Well, Melo actually winning that gun battle just ahead of the drone carrier there. Veziok, he just panicked a little bit there and was just under too much fire in the end. Riskin also taken out. 3 down for HyperGames and Spirit Gaming.
There's
what
Sammy.
are they going to do? They're going to go for the wrap? No, they're pushing straight through towards a reset. However, last time they did this, they did manage to set up for 3 points after around 20, or a 20-second play, I should say. But 4 down again from HyperGames. It looks like we're going to see what happened earlier happen again.
Beautiful stuff from Spirit Gaming. They still have a player inside of yellow. They're going to continue to rally this drone in. UFO might have enough time to go for the dunk. Gets caught up on the wall, falling just short. There it is. The first lead of the game for Spirit Gaming. They're now up 7-6.
Veziok picking up a 2-piece in his own base. Needs to pick up this next kill. Does pick up the next kill. Going to snatch the drone, run back towards himself. It looks like there's a little bit of a miscommunication there. Not sure where they're running. Melo offering some cover. This is surely at least 1. Should be 2. Is he going to go for 1 or 2? Is he going to be greedy? Oh, he is greedy, and rightly so.
Veziok knew he still had 2 players that were causing distractions for the opposing team. But just like that, 4 do fall. Sammy going for the 1-point toss. He gets cut down. The one final push coming from Spirit Gaming. Melo now with the drone in hand. He passes it to his teammate, but no, it got caught on the wall. That might give enough time, but no. It's actually Veziok picking up the final 2-piece. So back and forth in those final moments. And at the half, it's going to be an 8-7 lead. Veziok and the boys in control.
But right now, if you're Spirit Gaming, you're pretty happy with that performance after being on the supposed worst side. As I've said, 1 point in it. If they can set up a few relays, and they've shown they can do that and work as a squad, they should be able to get significant points on the board. And I think it was just the start which really put them on the back foot. 4-0 down after 35 seconds, I think it was, actually. They were always going to face an uphill battle, and they did well to actually get back in the game.
I just want one setup play, Ink. I just want one setup play. This is the closest we've come to seeing one. Tony getting control of that top pole area.
3 down.
3 dead, make it 4. A beautiful start for HyperGames. They're going to connect with a 2-point dunk right off the start yet again, now up 10-7.
Well, that is not the type of start that Spirit Gaming wanted, but kind of the same start they had in the previous round. Early gun battles just going in favor of Riskin and Melo. Riskin once again pushing glass with a sub, and they can't stop him at the moment. But Tojor almost has a 2-piece, but Melo hits back with one of his own. Palooka pushing through this yellow building area. He's actually running towards his own base. Risky stuff from Palooka, but he's going to get away with it, and it could be a 1-pointer if this is played correctly.
You could almost say he was risking a lot on that play. The only risking that there is in this game is the one that just picked up 1 kill, clearing out his side of the map. Melo 20-13 on a 3 streak. The 1-point play does connect for Spirit Gaming. They brought it back within 2.
Well, Riskin not in a great position at all here. 2 down for his side. He's got the drone. He needs to run back towards his 15 seconds. Does go for the 15 second, and that will save his side. At least a point in my view. 2 points in it, though, with just over 3.5 minutes left to play. HyperGames, they're far from safe yet.
Melo doing all he can to control glass. Some nice nades coming from his own teammate there to take him down. Veziok doing the dirty work for the boys on Spirit Gaming there. Thankfully, though, he's able to bounce back with a nice AR gun battle. Tony JS has been very quiet this game so far, Ink. 9-17, some shaky shots there momentarily, finally able to pick up the kill. But that extra little bit of time might have bought UFO with a 1-point toss. Another nade coming out of Veziok. The drone now in the hands of Riskin. And who is it yet again to clear them all out? It's Melo.
23-16 main slate of the lobby thus far. Riskin also on the drone. Melo going to offer some cover from yellow. This should be at least 1. It could actually be 2 if he wins this next gun battle. He's going to be 2 pieces. Oh, Tojor goes big. Last-ditch kill, but Veziok trades it up. This is going to be a dump. 12-8 HyperGames. Try and get some distance between themselves and Spirit Gaming.
Melo and the boys on HyperGames are doing all they can to take the 2-1 series lead. They know how important it is to stay out of those bottom 2 spots. Right now, only 3 points to their names so far in the Gfinity EU Pro League Season 2. If they can wind up taking home this series, though, that'll bump them just above Spirit Gaming and out of relegation for this moment. 2:20 remaining in this game number 3. It's Palooka with the drone.
Tony GS going big when he has to, though, but it looks like Palooka's running through this back patio area, actually going to go through blue, and he's getting his punch. Oh, wow, Vizzy actually punched him through the doorway there. Very unlucky for the Spanishman. However, Sammy is staying up in this HyperGames base. Mello predicts it. Mello right now is just playing to perfection.
Running through the blue with the drone momentarily was the boys on Spirit Gaming. Now they're inside of glass. Palooka's got that one in hand. Just trying to stay alive. You can see playing this one patiently. They know every possession is so important in the final 2 minutes. UFO doing all he can to be the lead blocker for the drone carrier. Palooka now getting the call to run out. UFO picks up the two-piece. Palooka running it towards middle map. UFO finds the third. Did it buy enough time for Palooka? No, it did not. The drone back in the hands of HyperGames, but the clear doesn't fully come in. Mello clutching up yet again. He's been electric all game long.
Yeah, but it looks like he's actually going to go for the wraparound. There is a player in front of him. He's going to go for the pass, but the pass is going to be missed as he has been taken out. Mello with the turn-on kill on Sammy. Mello. He just cannot play much better if he tries. With that in mind, though, risking the move is still on. Just picks up a two-piece there. By the look of it, he's going to go for a one. Probably a wise decision. He's going to hit. Just misses out there.
No, it bounced in.
Oh, wow, okay, fair play.
That's massive. That makes it now a 3-possession game, and with 50 seconds remaining, the power position from Tony JS. I'm just going to pretend like he didn't just miss almost every single shot with his AR. Tojor, does he go for the dunk? It does appear so. Getting too greedy. The rest of his team falling. Their final hope is UFO, and he falls. That might have just been the nail in the coffin. Risking back on top of this pole area. They have no idea he's here. Not sure why he jumped down, but either way, with 30 seconds remaining, this is a tall order if Spirit Gaming want to win this one.
Well, the previous move, I just want to move back in time ever so slightly. It just all changed with Riskin's one-pointer, as you've just said. It made it 5-point game, and with that in mind, Tony GS last-ditch two-piece there, set up Riskin with the one-pointer. Well, actually, they're actually going to hit a dunk. There's 8 seconds remaining. There is enough time mathematically. It will go right down to the wire here.
Run!
Run, Sammy! Run! 2, 1, he's going to do it. Oh, big play from Riskin there. And there we go, HyperGames win the second map, but that was not easy.
Mello won the second map.
Yeah, okay,
honestly,
agreed.
Mello really won the second map. Even there, the final kill coming in to stop Tojor from getting the pass that could have been that dunk to win or bring it to overtime from Spirit Gaming. 33-24 performance. There's a look at HyperGames in the booth. They are now up in this series 2-1, Inc. Definitely a big match win there to stop the momentum from further going in favor of Spirit Gaming.
Yeah, and we've just spoken about performance from Mello, and to be honest with you, the turn-on kills, the 2 pieces, 3 pieces, even 4 pieces, I'm pretty sure he had at one stage, not only in that uplink, but also in the previous hard points. Right now, the guy is just in a great vein of form, and I think the headlines were stolen from it ever so slightly by Veziok and Tony GS in the first 2 maps, but the consistency he's showing right now, just top quality.
Well, HyperGames now up 2-1 in this Super 6 series. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Our second uplink of this one coming up next.
Wait, you're not on it? I'm on it. 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 Where are you at?
Choice it would be, but he doesn't pull it. Gets it. There's one. Oh, it's going to be close. He gets the second one. Clay, the MVP with the 2 snipes. All smiles, high fives coming from attached. the birthday boy, able to pick it up.
Wow, and look at that, the accuracy there. And I mean, you know, in those close quarters.
They didn't really have full control. They were defending the flank over and over again. And another thing with doing it, eventually you will get overwhelmed in that position. The other thing, we'll be able to eventually break it, maybe get a 2-piece of touch. Oh my goodness!
There's the fourth two. Can he pick it up? He gets it.
Oh my
The entire team at TCM taken out in a matter of seconds. Attach, man. He is young. He is still developing as a player, but God, he is disgusting.
Results of the day, but with that in mind, we are going to start on board with the player in form, Mello for HyperGames.
Mello, obviously a Hogwarts graduate, continuing to show off his wizardry here, striking first blood for his team. Already 4 dead from Spirit Gaming. Mello's got the drone, and this is what I love to see from players. The selflessness. They immediately just grab it and push it up. They know the objective is what needs to be done. Earlier on in the series, we mentioned how HyperGames was slaying so hard in that second hard point.
Yeah.
But they still lost the game pretty handily. This time around, you could just see objective is their #1 thing. That comes to mind. UFO staying alive after getting hit by some stuns off the start, a little bit more slower of a start from these two teams.
And the thing is, the Spirit Gaming actually got away with the poor start, and we keep seeing poor starts from them, to be honest with you, in uplinks, or in the previous uplink, both on round 1 and round 2. 4 dead. If that was on a small amount, that would have been 2-0. But Detroit, you've got to take that drone some distance, and it's really difficult to coordinate. You essentially need to win 2 waves of gunfights every time. HyperGames won the first one, but unfortunately lost the second.
Also, the one player that was up for Spirit Gaming was able to grab the drone and move it towards a school step. So even that extra little bit of time, whether it's a couple dashes, made a massive difference in regards to trying to get the 2-point play in from HyperGames. The drone being tossed up for yards, not going to be able to convert anything with that one. Sammy with the 0-4 slow start. He's got the drone in hand.
Yeah, well, he's actually going to go for a mini wrap here through elbow. Very risky indeed, actually pushing through blue, as he does have a player in front of him supporting him. Actually going to juke back around himself. Looks like this route very unconventional, to say the least. UFO has received the ball. This is more conventional, pushing through skull. Is he going to get it? Oh, goes for the 1-pointer. What a great decision that was from UFO, sorry.
And that's one where you got to think, you know, is that the play they wanted to make? They had their lead blocker get the drone. Instead of being able to clear out lockers, he had to just go for the 1-point toss. Thankfully, for the boys of Spirit Gaming, UFO made the smart heads-up play to go for the 1-point toss. Tojor hits the beat down on Mello. They're now up 3-0, utilizing that preferred side off the start.
And it looks like they're set up relatively well, although actually they may be set up too well, as it looks like there's so many players actually in the HyperGames base. They weren't defending that reset and risking on the counter-attack hit. Oh, last-ditch kill there from Sammy. Oh, my goodness. Sammy's still got the drone. He's got some cover. He's going to launch out for 15. What a moment that could be, not only in this map, but this series as well.
The first push of the game, HyperGames completely wiped him out. Spirit Gaming was able to somehow not be scored on in the first 30 seconds. There again, what looked like a guaranteed score from the French team gets cut down. Sammy doing all he can to stay alive on the drone reset. Unfortunate for him, finally the pressure is getting too much for him. 2 minutes remaining on side #1. It's a 2-possession lead for Spirit Gaming.
Well, Mello currently on a 5 streak. He was 1-5, 1-6, sorry. He's actually now 6-6. So starting to mount a little bit of a fight back on an individual stats watch. But Mello taken out from behind there. I think that was actually Sammy showing a little bit of patience. And Sammy right now, the kills he's getting, he hasn't got many, but the ones he has really do matter.
I don't know how Tojor just stayed alive long enough to reset that one. Heads-up play from him. That's going to give his teammates enough time to get in some quirky spots. Speaking of quirky, here's UFO flanking all the way around through Middle Street. And he gave away his position without picking up a kill. Sloppy stuff from him. That is not the play you needed from Spirit Gaming. The drone now in the hands of HyperGames.
Almost a little bit too keen there to pick up a kill, and that kill was a little bit irrelevant, to be honest with you. He didn't really need to take anyone out on Mid-Atlas at that stage. He needs to get set up, maybe getting the head glitch just outside school steps, but he shoulda, woulda, coulda on that front. A big gun battle there from Riskin, taking down Paluca. Just headed in to back school, but Sammy currently got the drone in garage here, and it looks like he's got support from Tojor just in front of him. But 3-0 at the moment. Spirit Gaming, they don't need to feel forced to really go on an aggressive play. They can just keep resetting it.
Oh, yeah, and Sammy's doing that Right now, obviously, 2 of his teammates died. Makes the heads-up play to sacrifice himself to get the full 15 reset. But of course, as he does that, Palooka just clears out almost the entire HyperGames team. We saw UFO do this last time. We'll see if it pays off this time around. Putting some shots down, picks up 1 kill. Challenges the second, but Mello wins that gun battle. The drone being tossed up for yards. Mello's there to clear it out. And with 30 seconds remaining, it's looking like we're going to go into the half with a 3-0 lead for Spirit Gaming.
Well, Courage, obviously, you've been casting this a long time now. Do you think that 3-0 is enough headed in to the worst side, so to speak?
And really what it comes down to is obviously school control and the kills from close range. That's the big thing. 3-0, it's more than a close enough game to be able to mount the comeback for the boys on HyperGames.
Oh, agreed. 100%.
It's just going to be Spirit Gaming. Do they win the gun battles when they're rotating back towards school? Or is it dominated by HyperGames? Can they continue to rally it in? There, it was kind of just 2 individual scores that came into play. A beautiful nade from Veziak to finish that round. But a 3-0 lead, I think you hit the nail on the head, Ink. It's a small lead for Spirit Gaming. Yeah. But is it enough? And that's going to be the question that's answered in these next 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, Spirit Gaming, if they play correctly and in my view, if I was in Spirit Gaming's shoes, I wouldn't be too aggressive in this round. Invite some pressure onto yourself with HyperGames, and they've already shown that Spirit Gaming can keep up slaying-wise, and it looks like UFO's actually anticipating the run from Tony GS through elbow, and there we go. They've been spotted first gun battle. Wow, 2 bullets to the head. Rest in peace, my friend. But Riskin pushing through school with his drone.
And here's the example of it. Will he get back in time to cover his side of school? UFO puts the shots down. The 1-point play comes in. The boys on HyperGames doing what they couldn't do through the first entire 5 minutes of side number 1, and that's get a point on the board. Now down just by 1 dunk.
And if you're Spirit Gaming, that will slightly panic you, in all honesty, not getting a single point in the whole first 5 minutes, and then literally after 20 seconds, already hitting a 1-pointer, almost making that lead slightly irrelevant. But Veziok, his nades at the moment are flying in left, right, and center from one end of the map to the other end of the map, and he's just getting some really, really weird kills.
Yeah, we've seen a couple team kills from him so far this series with nades, but outside of that, he's probably had 5 or 6 that have completely shut down aggressive pushes from his opponents. There goes the 1-point toss, picked off by Veziak as well, and played out the back of the map, making another massive play for his team. Not only is he leading his squad in overall kills, but he's clutching up when they need him to most. 3-1 lead, though, still in favor of Spirit Gaming. UFO with the drone.
Yeah, well, UFO's going to be met with some pressure here. 2 players taking shots at him, finally taken out in the end. The team kill there from Tony. Sloppy play. Mello, though, just going to launch that drone out. Launch it for 15, try and get some map control. And HyperGames right now, they are running out of time to get back into this game and to take a lead. And we've said that this map probably more important for HyperGames than it is Spirit Gaming.
See, now this is how you need to play this certain situation. Riskin gonna get himself in a spot where he can get up close. Unfortunately for him, Tojor with the very swift reaction time to turn around and pick up the kill. Kills being brought down in middle map. Tony JS able to take down Palooka. HyperGames now with the drone in hand. They've got control of school.
Well, Tony currently obviously on that drone, headed into school, covered there by Riskin. Needs to win 1 more gun battle, though wins that gun battle as well. This is going to be a dunk here. And this, oh no, the pass. No, why did you pass that? Riskin was just in front of you, you could have gone behind. Oh, there was just so many opportunities. Mello, though, goes big at the last man. Okay, well, he's made up. Mello gets a kill as well, and finally taken out by Veziak.
There's the kill from Veziak. Just as I mentioned it 30 seconds ago, he picks up the team kill, but now the rally coming in. It's all tied up. Riskin with the drone in hand decides to slow it down. These next few kills are going to be crucial for the outcome of this game.
Well, Riskin obviously got some cover here from his teammates. Mello again winning a gun battle. Tojo, though, trades it up. Palooka also taking out Veziok in score. 1 point. Oh, Palooka. The amount of times he's picked up 2 pieces and 3 pieces in this game, he's having a very impressive performance. 21 and 16. Main slayer of the lobby thus far. UFO going for 1. Is it going to bounce in?
Tries to connect, it falls just short. Nobody in a position to go for the dunk. Riskin will reset it. Under 120 seconds remaining. The slang is almost even right now in this game, slightly in favor of Spirit Gaming. Sammy with the beat down, the kill coming in from Riskin. He knows there's a player inside the garage. Will he chase the kill down? It does appear so.
Well, risking. Going to try and offer some cover down mid-street. Oh, he's almost taken out. But him playing his life could be the difference between a dunk and not a dunk. The fact that gives him an extra man advantage. HyperGames an extra man advantage. Mello goes for one. Sammy snatched that drone there. Mello taken out from behind as well. But right now, Spirit Gaming, they're not going to be happy that they're pinned in their own base. UFO actually going to run it. Elbow, very risky, but he's got support from a player just in front of him. That's actually Palooka looking into Garage with a sub.
no.
This should be a one-pointer.
This should be a one-pointer. He's waiting for the help of Palooka and his lead blockers. There's Sammy getting reckless. Gets one kill. UFO trying to play for the dunk.
It's gonna be dunk.
He's
Wow.
going to do just that. 5-3 lead right as the clock strikes 1 minute. Spirit Gaming doing all they can to tie up this series.
Well, Palooka was the difference there, picking up 2 crucial kills for Spirit Gaming, covering UFO, the drone carrier. But as you can see, Mello last alive for HyperGames against 3 of Spirit Gaming, 4 down
kill.
for HyperGames there. And as you can see, drone's just going to be launched out, and the pressure is now mounting on HyperGames. There's only 35 seconds remaining, 8 seconds after the reset as well. They're pretty much all out of time unless they can make a world-class play.
And you might think, oh, there's 30 seconds remaining, they still have enough time, but they don't have middle map control. Finally, Veziok's able to pick up the 2-piece. They need to ensure that the drone can't be tossed out. Mello has one player behind him. That's Palooka, who picks up 2. He has a drone in hand. Does he get it off?
No, is it a bounce bucket? No, I think it has.
Is it just off the edge of the map?
Yeah, it's just off the edge, literally
is.
just
That's
off the
gonna
edge.
do it.
That's map done and dusted. So Spirit Gaming tie it all up at 2 maps apiece. This is not boding well for HyperGames as they now essentially have to win both maps.
Both search and destroys as well.
Yeah, and they're gonna, if they don't, they're gonna stay second bottom and stay in those relegation places.
Now, if you're wondering who these two teams have to go up against later in the day, Spirit Gaming will face Epsilon in our 3rd matchup of the day, and then HyperGames will face VWS in our 5th matchup of the day. So still, a lot of points to be had between these 2 teams. Both of them need to clutch up no matter what happens in this series. Either squad can definitely still be relegated based off of what action develops later on today. There's a look at Spirit Gaming. This series has been so back and forth. Ink, break down the scoreboard for me.
Well, scoreboard, Mello at the top for HyperGames. Again, they're 22 and 23. However, Veziok outslaying, but Veziok using that bow on Detroit outplaying always going to have a little bit of an advantage in my view. On Spirit Gaming side, the winning side, Palooka, the 3 pieces this guy was pulling out of the bag was absolutely insane. 27 kills is where he finished off in the kills department, but the consistency overall from Spirit Gaming, all finishing with over 20 kills. And Tony GS, unfortunately for HyperGames, just fell short, but I think that's probably his first sloppy game of the entire day thus far.
Yeah, prior to the series starting, you saw the predictions from the casters or the analysts up at the desk. Pricey, I believe, had HyperGames winning it 4-2.
Yeah.
And then you saw Trout said it was going to be a tie. Right now, the series is all knotted up, splitting the respawns. 1 hard point to each team, 1 uplink to each team, very evenly matched. Like we all predicted going into this one, so much on the line for these 2 teams in today's Championship Sunday matches. If you are just tuning in, this is all obviously all tied up 2-2. Our next game going to be Search and Destroy on Biolab. Now, from what you've seen so far this weekend, Ink, do you think we're going to be seeing some Morse play from either of these 2 squads?
Yes, we will be seeing some Morse play. I think for HyperGames, we're going to see Veziok pull out a sniper. And then with regards to Spirit Gaming, I think we saw Palooka pull it out a couple times. UFO also pulling it out. But one of the things I just want to focus on here is yesterday when we casted Spirit Gaming, they lost one S&D 6-0 to IGI, and it was a battering. Next map, they actually decided to batter IGI as a thank you. So a little bit inconsistent there from Spirit Gaming. However, if memory serves me, HyperGames also won 1 S&D and lost 1 S&D. So both of these teams, you know, they've got strengths and they've got their weaknesses. So neither team going into this has a particularly impressive record throughout this event with their S&Ds. So they really couldn't be more evenly matched if they tried, not only on your screen with 2 maps apiece, but also in their history with S&Ds. But obviously up next, Biolab S&D, and we'll finish things off with the Detroit S&D. But Courage, who do you think has the edge going into Biolab?
I mean, coming into this one now, the series has been so split, it's tough to even make a call. The only thing I know I'm sure of right now in my life is that I am sweating profusely. Ink, it looks like you are as well.
Yep.
The players are probably too, so we've all got something in common. Thankfully, we're going to a nice cold map here on Biolab.
Oh, yeah, it's just going to lay in the snow.
Nice
Make some snow angels, please. We'd probably melt the snow with that hot now, sweating like absolute goons. However, we are going to start on
no
board
mores.
with
No mores.
Well, we saw that a couple times yesterday on Biolab. First round, everyone just kind of feels each other out and doesn't pull out the snipers. Then all of a sudden, just go insane. Tony getting first blood, Riskin getting second. Spirit Gaming need to slow the pace down in this round, or this is going to be done before they know it.
Mello able to find the third. That's going to leave UFO in the 1v4. The bomb has been planted. He's got to make the impossible happen if he wants to put his team up 1-0 in this search and destroy.
Well, we've already seen one failed 1v4 yesterday, and we're going to see another failed 1v4 today, although Harley was a lot closer yesterday for IGI. But with that in mind, 1-0. What do you think went wrong for Spirit Gaming there? Were they just trying to be too aggressive?
I mean, I think they got caught a little bit off guard. They had one player sitting top purple, who was just sitting behind that AC vent and never actually poked out. He just got shot in the back. So instead of his presence being felt and being that kind of first line of defense for the Spirit Gaming squad, he was just taken down and wasn't able to make an impact. Now, though, off the start, looks like that same aggression is going to be matched by the boys on Spirit Gaming. They already have 3 players in towards mid-bio.
Yeah, well, Palooka pushing in, but it looks like first blood is like, oh, wow, Palooka once again getting an impressive kill there. Yeah, Veziok left in a 1v4, and it looks like bomb is going down in purple, and it's going to be able to get spotted as well, the way it's been planted. However, Veziok is actually having to run away from the bomb site because he's under that much pressure.
He should not be alive at all. Still in this 1v4. 30 seconds remaining.
1v3. Oh, well, almost takes out Tojol there, but he would have still had it all to do. But Spirit Gaming there doing exactly what HyperGames did in round 1. So once again, there's no real indication of which team is better than the other at this stage. They just matched up in every department.
Realistically, the offensive side of things so far, the aggression is paying off for either of these two squads. We'll see how HyperGames winds up playing this one. I'm going to hop on board with Mello. A little bit of less of a factor in the last game. We'll see if he can heat up in the Search and Destroy game mode. Off the start, pushing in towards mid-bio. He's being challenged by Palooka. The help from Tojor coming in. The 2-piece to start off the round. Make it 3 from UFO. And the 4th. No! Tony JS narrowly staying alive. He gets cleaned up. And another form of aggression, this time dealt with by the defensive squad.
Just looking at HyperGames there in the booth, they all with their heads down, rubbing their heads going,
I don't even know what just happened.
No, we should have had that. And that was a good performance there from Spirit Gaming, celebrating in the booth like they'd won the whole game there, but fisting not fisting each other. I don't know how to describe it, but you get what I'm saying. So 2-1 in favor of Spirit Gaming.
It's all right. I don't know what you're into outside of the casting world, but we're going to keep casting this matchup here. I think at the end of that one, there was actually a stun grenade, self-kill to finish out that round because the kill cam was a little bit weird. But look at this positioning from Sammy. He's got 2 players now pushing from the green area of the map. Mello spots him, Riskin there to help out. Wonderfully played, but the answer coming in from UFO. A 3-3 number advantage right now for neither squad.
Wow, that's now a 2v2, and then Palooka wins that next gun battle in and around bio, so it's now a 1v2 for Veziok. He does have an AR, and he is looking towards that correct bomb site. Oh, I don't know if I think UFO's just spotted him, so now Veziok is not in a good position at all. Numbers game potentially catching up to Veziok. There we go. He was always in a difficult position there. It's very difficult to approach when both players are stacked on that bomb site.
Spirit Gaming continuing to fist each other after the round, Ink. Something you said they're quite into.
Big fan.
I just got to give you some shouts there. But no, UFO 7-2. Big start from him in the Search and Destroy game. A big reason why his team is now up 3-1 in this S&T. HyperGames, man, they need to begin to turn things around. They cannot afford to tie this series, as that would put them still down by 2 points in the overall scheme of things. They would basically have to win versus VWS later on in the day, and they would have to pray that Spirit Gaming loses versus Epsilon.
Well, the thing is Spirit Gaming headed into the Epsilon game, they're not favorites. But HyperGames against VWS, also not favorites. So this game is just so important for both sides. It's all locked up at 2 maps apiece, 2 S&Ds on the way. But obviously, this is the first of the 2. 3-1 in favor of Spirit Gaming right now. But the slower start to the round we've seen in this map thus far, though. Everyone's still alive after 30. Well, as soon as I say that, Sammy gets first blooded, currently dropping that donut. I say donut just for you there. 4v3. And if I'm HyperGames shoes, I get that bomb down ASAP.
Tons looking at me with an awkward face. The bomb now going down from Tony JS. He's going to begin to plant that one, risking with the entry kill on the green side of the map. That's going to open it up for his squad. Mello picks up one as well. 3v2 number advantage, and the bomb is down in favor of HyperGames.
Well, Tojo coming from this blue side. He has been spotted though, Mello. Oh, wow. I think he just had a little bit of cover there. I think he actually might have finished off with the kill, but big round for HyperGames there. If they would have gone 4-1 down, they would have literally had it all to do. But now 3-2, it's essentially all locked up at this stage. Mello actually getting the kill at the end there. I think he did have a little bit of support from his teammate on the right. But with that being said, Sammy needs to get a couple more kills, or his team could be in some trouble here.
Yeah, the fact that his squad is still up gives reason to be nervous for the boys on HyperGames. Sammy being a non-factor so far. We'll see if we can give him some luck here to help him get his first blood. He's been in charge of watching this flank all game long. So far, hasn't gotten a bite as of yet. Yet again, if you look at your minimap, there's no one even near that area of the map.
Cheeky from Sammy, though. It would have been a good play if someone would be on the flank. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes against you. Tony, though, potentially going to eat a grenade here. Oh, I think he just gets away with his life there. Palooka's just spotted him, though. Oh, Vezio ruins him. A point-blank difference, AR versus Sub. You wouldn't think it would go that way, but fair play. It's now 4v2 for HyperGames.
Sammy and Tojor up against all 4 players of HyperGames. Tojor picks up 1 kill, no trade coming in. That's basically a perfect kill that you would need to start off this 2v4 comeback.
Yeah.
Sammy playing this one very passively. Did he spot Tony JS? It does appear so.
Oh,
Still, the bomb is down in a horrible spot. I mean, they have to completely expose themselves
to
to grab it.
Oh, dear.
There it is. HyperGames tying it back up 3-3.
I got my head on the desk right now because Mello, he just dropped to the floor, double jumps, drops, hit fires, just ruins Tojor there. I don't think he was left with any chance whatsoever. But HyperGames back-to-back rounds there, 3-3, and perhaps a little bit of a momentum shift in favor of the French side.
I'm going to hop on board with Sammy off the start. He just needs to get something going here. His 0-5 start to this game is now being felt as it's all tied up. You know, UFO saying, guys, I'm doing all I can, but I don't know how long I can keep this double positive going for. Off the start of this round, more aggression towards middle map from Spirit Gaming. Stuns coming down towards bottom L room. As of yet, though, no one has picked up first blood.
Yeah, well, Sammy, if he does this round, it'd just be 1 round away from that 007 James Bond. He's going to put some bullets there into both players. There we go, he gets a first kill. The pressure's slightly off of his shoulders, but he's now on a breadstick. Needs to get off of that as soon as possible as well. But 4v3, HyperGames need to get this bomb down, but more importantly, they need to get some kills.
And you can see Riskin, yet again, watching over that back green area, seeing if the flank is coming in. That is 2 straight rounds where a team has dedicated a player there for almost the entirety of the round's duration. And, well, basically still just not able to pick up the kill. Tony JS now moving towards the bomb site. Not deciding to plant. He's just going to play his life.
Well, that box is wall bangable, or box bangable, as some people describe it as. So, Tony, wise decision to back off, in my view, as Tojor could have just leathered bullets into that box. And yeah, as soon as he was spotted, it was never going to be looking good. But oh, well, Vezio gets a kill there, switches to a sub, is going to pre-fire in that green box area. Oh, taken out from behind, though. Well played from Spirit Gaming. And every round they win, it's almost like they've won a game. I've said that beforehand, but they're so pumped in that booth right now. And HyperGames, when they lose a round, they tend to look very dejected. However, last time we saw them lose a round, they responded by hitting, they responded by actually winning 2 rounds on the bounce. And if they do the same here, they'll go 5-3 in the lead. 5-4 in the lead, sorry.
HyperGames needs to stop the bleeding now. Veziak with that Morrison Hannah. Okay, as I was about to say, we'll stay on board with him to see if he's able to make anything happen with it. He swaps around Palooka with that bomb. Ooh, let's see who picks up first blood.
The trophy system has now been turned on by Palooka after almost being destroyed by that nade. As you can see, he's going to be pushing by. No kills going down as of yet. Shots going down. UFO taken out by Tony JS. Tojor trades it up, though. 3v3. But Spirit Gaming need another kill before they get that bomb down, in my view.
Sammy connecting with the nade on Mello. Palooka picks up 1 as well. And just like that, what was an even number game in this round number 8, it's now Riskin left in the 1-on-3.
Riskin right now. He needs to go so big for his team because they go 5-3 down.
This time it could be absolutely sick for him.
It could. He's going to pick that bomb straight away, is he? Oh, wow. Palooka runs the right way if that's such a thing. Oh, gets taken out, though.
Spirit Gaming. 1 round away from going up in the series. 3-2. and almost guaranteeing themselves at least a tie in the series.
More importantly, in my view, 1 round away from avoiding relegation, because
you think that that far?
If they win this map, they guarantee themselves a point. So regardless of how the next map goes after this, they're going to get a point. They're going to stay above HyperGames, and HyperGames playing VWS later would be forced to get the W.
Yeah.
And I can't see that happening because of the form VWS are in right now.
Well, HyperGames getting aggressive towards the A-bomb site. Unfortunately for them, it is not working in their favor. UFO able to pick up first blood. Sammy putting shots down as well. It's all beginning to fall apart for the French squad. They've had a pullback in this round number 9. Thankfully, though, Tojor and UFO getting a little bit too aggressive. They get cut down. Number advantage back in favor of HG.
Palooka here. Green plat area. Tony also in and around back Iski, so a little bit of a passive round for HyperGames. They know how important this is, and they don't want to challenge it. Oh, Sammy, though, almost picks up the kill on Tony. Mello, though, kills Palooka, but it can't be traded here. Sammy, though, left in 1v3. Oh, misses some shots there. Big round for HyperGames. It looks like we could be going to a round 11, and the pressure these players would be under.
I don't think I've seen a round 11 so far this weekend. That comes to mind.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're unlucky. I think I've seen a few.
Okay, well, I hate myself now. Well, 5-4 still in favor of Spirit Gaming. They need to close us out right now.
Yeah.
They can't let HyperGames win 2 straight rounds and now have all the momentum going into that round 11. We'll see how they wind up playing things. They have not decided to go towards the A-bomb site, I think, once this game. Still choosing that B-bomb site and purple side of the map.
Palooka obviously has that bomb. Pushing towards this B site here, but it looks like HyperGames, they've cottoned onto it, making the rotation back towards this B site. Nades are flying in. Trophy system, though, for Palooka.
Check. Will he check? Oh, no, it doesn't appear so. The bomb has been planted. 40 seconds remaining, going to be up to HyperGames to get the defuse.
First kill is so important in this situation. Tony currently top purple. Shots going down. Looks like Palooka's been spotted in yellow. That's going to be called out. Tony getting a lot of information there. Riskin gets first blood on Tojor as well. So HyperGames, they do have a slight advantage, but that's traded up on Tony. Gun battle coming down from Riskin. Needs to win this in bio. Does win it.
But look at this positioning. Look at this positioning from UFO. He's in a great spot to stop the player from defusing. He's staying alive, top purple. Have they spotted him up here as of yet? No, they haven't. 12 seconds remaining. All he has to do is kill the player defusing. Wins the gunfight. Now he has to check the bomb.
Is he going to have time to get the defuse?
Down. He's trying to get
not. Oh, wow. Spirit Gaming, look at the dejection from HyperGames. Head in their hands. No. They know that is possibly them going down if results do not go their way. So unlucky for UFO, and wow, not unlucky for UFO, but unlucky for HyperGames. Mello almost had that defuse there, but sometimes it goes for you, sometimes against you, and UFO there, 12-6.
He gave him the peri-peri sauce. That's just because I'm hungry.
I don't know what that means, but I presume it's bad.
No, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know what I just said, but all I know is Spirit Gaming, they've done what they need to do, and that's at least to tie the series.
Yeah.
That's really, that's the bare minimum. Now, both of these teams know how just important this next game is, because let's take a look at how this would break down. If Spirit Gaming win this next game, they win the series, and they go to 8 points in the league. That actually puts Epsilon in the third to last spot, to where they could then be in a potential spot to be relegated. HyperGames would then be stuck at 3, almost putting themselves with their backs up against the wall.
I'm looking at this, to be honest with you, and Epsilon could be dragged back down into the relegation fight, so it might not be the end for HyperGames. Looking at it, if they win this next map, they'll go to 4 points, Spirit Gaming on 6 points, Epsilon on 7 points. If Spirit Gaming cause an upset and beat Epsilon, Epsilon will then slip below Spirit Gaming. But with that being said...
But even if HyperGames wins their next series and ties it up at 7 points, I believe map count goes in favor of Epsilon.
At the moment it does, because Epsilon's map count at the moment is
We're doing
0.
math up here.
Yeah, I know. Viewing us with our serious faces on. But as you can see, this is how the series has gone thus far. HyperGames winning the first map very comfortably on Compound. Spirit Gaming, though, hitting back instantly on Retreat Hardpoint. Then HyperGames winning the next one. And then the uplink went right down to the wire, 5-3. But then the previous map, back-to-back maps for Spirit Gaming. 3-2 is the current map count. Can HyperGames get a point? At this stage, in my view, doesn't really make much of a difference, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong a lot this weekend, to be honest with you. So, HyperGames will want to play for it.
Not all of us can be winners.
No, I know. Unfortunately, I know.
Just ask IGI.
To be fair, they played well yesterday. And
they did.
They could beat Millennium, maybe, later on. No? Brycey's going to hate me for that comment straight away, saying, be realistic, come on!
Yeah.
Oh, in a slightly less manly voice, obviously.
This is going to get restarted. Only 2 players coming in from HyperGames. So, we'll back out of this one. No big deal. Obviously, if you are just tuning in, it is now official that Spirit Gaming, the worst they can do is tie this series. Great stuff from them to clutch up here on Championship Sunday. Now they want to basically guarantee themselves out of the relegation aspect of things if they can win this map. Mathematically, if you think about it, if they win this map, they're at 8. HyperGames is at 3. There's no way they can make that comeback.
No, they will get relegated. If they lose this map, HyperGames will go down.
Yeah,
There's no two ways about it, and that's a scary prospect. And most people would say, well, they're already down already. I think they're probably already down already, unless we see a monstrous result. But obviously, we saw a couple yesterday which surprised us, so you know it could happen again. But right now, Epsilon fairly comfortable on 7 points. But if Spirit Gaming win this, they go 8, Epsilon 7, HyperGames on 3. Even if they win this, their next game against VWS, they'll be on 6. They'll be going down anyway. And right now, does it look realistic that they're going to escape relegation? No. That last map, it was just disappointing towards the end. But with that being said, sometimes those diffusers go for you. Sometimes they go against you. Mello took a risk and it didn't pay off.
Ink, as we're starting up this final game of the Super 6 series, I've got to ask, I'm going to put you on the spot. Which team has impressed you the most so far this weekend, and which team has kind of let you down from what you've seen?
The team that's impressed me most, to be honest with you, and I say, well, impressed is Millennium, but shocked would be IGI, because they actually had some impressive performances. And that's a bit of a weird performance. A bit of a weird, but the team that shocked me most would be IGI, because I was expecting them to come here and get rolled on and just 6-0, 6-0, 6-0. And obviously, we haven't seen them play their other 2 games. But yesterday against Spirit Gaming, they were just 1 map away from actually winning that series. And they would have been on 4 points right now. They would have actually been above Spirit Gaming.
Ask me who I've been impressed with.
Who have you been impressed with?
I think VWS has shown up so far
100%.
this weekend, obviously winning the series versus Infused. And then also, Infused is the team that's let me down. And I kind of had higher expectations for him. You even saw the players going on Twitter yesterday saying, thank you to all the fans for the support, but we apologize for the placings that we've had so far this weekend. At the start of this round, though, in game number 6, well, it's a clean sweep. HyperGames, or Spirit Gaming, getting off to a hot start.
More generally, though, and a very, very brief point, is last season, the 2 teams which only narrowly escaped relegation could be the 2 teams which finish in the top 2 of this season. VWS just missed out relegation. Same for Millennium. Millennium has won the league. VWS, if they win both of their games, mathematically, could finish second. And with the games they've got, they're not considered the most difficult games, some would say. Then we could see some shock placements after this weekend is done. But with that in mind, we'll save that for another time. Save that to the analysts. That's what they're here to do. There's the Octo. Go with some nades. Mello, very aggressive play. Rushing pit, but does miss a couple shots there.
Mello rotating in towards School, gets the kill on Tojor. What was a very bad round number 1 for HyperGames. They've now begun to bounce back in round number 2. Make that 3 straight kills for him. Sammy left in the 1-on-4.
Yeah, well, that's going to be round done and dusted. That's going to be locked up at 1-1, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see what we've just seen in the previous map right down to the very end, and it just takes one big clutch like we've just seen in the previous round with a 1v2 from Spirit Gaming. But right now, obviously, can't really talk about too much. It's too early on in Detroit S&D. But, you know, I'll ask you a very brief question. Which side do you prefer on this map? Do you prefer attacking or defending?
Realistically, I think it comes down a lot to what calls come out for either players. As in here, Sammy has the Moors in hand, but no one getting a call on how many players pushed in towards School. So I would give the advantage over to the defending side if they play things the correct way. Yeah. Obviously, there they had Riskin pushing towards Hospital. He lost that gunfight. So First Blood going to HyperGames, but the answer coming right back, First Blood going over to Spirit Gaming. HyperGames able to answer right back. There's another kill from
got the bomb in mid-map. It's not where you want to be if you're the bomb carrier, but he's blue. He's got support from Sammy as well. So the two players from Spirit Gaming bunching up. And the bomb can go down, but I'm not really sure why he boosted. It might have been a little bit unnecessary. Could have been spotted from Score or even sound hoard from Green, so risky. But some would say a little bit sloppy, but he's still in a position where he can get the bomb down, but in my view, he needs to get it down sooner rather than later before HyperGames rotate. Because right now, both players from HyperGames are over at B. Both players from Spirit Gaming are over at A. He couldn't be set up more nicely. But Palooka actually isn't getting the bomb down here.
Only 18 seconds remaining. That's going to give Veziak enough time to rotate here towards Green. Alley picks up the beat down on Sammy, now spins around. They know that Palooka has to plant it. There's the challenge from Veziak. That'll do it. A very awkward round right there as Spirit Gaming deciding not to plant it. Not sure if I agree with that one. They had the A-bomb site locked down for, what, 30 seconds there? And just playing very passively. It comes back to hurt them. HyperGames now up 2-1.
I think they were waiting to get the first kill, have a one-man advantage. If Bomb Planter gets taken down, they can just trade it out. But there is always an inherent risk with doing that. We've just seen on screen what can happen. And the thing is most of these players we're seeing, they're not necessarily bad, they're just unlucky. In other cases, we'll be sat here going, oh my god, what a play, what a decision, what patience from Spirit Gaming. And other times it's like they're going, well, you know, you could have done, moved a little bit faster, but we'll move on. Round 4 now. HyperGames with a slight lead in this game, 2-1, but...
So here's this is the coordinated push that you see time and time again. You'll have the bomb carrier sit on this right side. You have one player dart across towards window. He's then the one to put down fire onto lockers, but when you have no one watching middle stairs, that play does not work at all. UFO with the heads-up kill on Riskin. Tojor answering as well, picks up the two-piece. That's going to leave Veziak in the 1-on-3.
Waiting for that Afterlife medal to pop up there, but I don't think it's going to happen anyway. Veziak left in a 1v3 in a way. Very lucky that the nade took out Tojor there. Otherwise, he'd have been in a 1v4, and it would have kind of looked all but lost with regards to this particular round. But Veziak pulling out a sniper, but he's not looking to his left here, so he could have been taken out from behind, but he's got it all to do. Switch weapon. Unlucky.
2-2. Spirit Gaming tying it back up. I mean, Ink, would you expect anything different for it to be this close in the Game 6 of the series?
No. These two sides, right to the very end, are just going to be so closely matched. They're both credits to this league, in my view. They both performed very well, as in they've deserved their place here. And it's a shame that one of them looks like they are going to get relegated. However, it's just the standard we've got in the EU Pro League at the moment, just some top sides. And obviously, the top 3 are kind of in a little bit of a league of their own, but everyone else, it's all to play for every single time they play.
Spirit Gaming in their matchup yesterday versus IGI, it was finished tied 3-3 after the 6-game set. This time around, something that could definitely happen again. Kills going in favor of HyperGames. They're now in a 3-on-2. Sammy not able to pick up the kill. He also gives away his position. His teammate dies. Now in the 1v3, getting aggressive. The trade coming in 3-2 back in favor of HyperGames.
Well, HyperGames, they're hitting back instantly. So right now it's going, obviously, back and forth with every round. And if it carries on, this game is destined for a round 11, and we'll break your round 11 duck here this weekend. But it's a shame there's not more to play for. As well, you can see a player there just playing with his lip. I think he's looking pretty happy with himself.
Strategy.
Yeah. Put the other team off. Make them fear you. Intimidate them.
Well, at the start of this round, the aggression towards the A-bomb site coming in. We haven't seen anything like a push in towards Green. It looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. And Sammy is there to greet them like a brick wall. The first 2 kills going in favor of Spirit Gaming. Tony JS tries to run away, but they've got their sights on him.
Oh, wow.
Veziak doing all he can to stay alive and keep the round up for his team. Nope, he gets cut down. Spirit Gaming tying it back up 3-3.
I don't really have anything to add, to be honest with you. I just think this is going to go to round. It's going to go to round 11, in my view, if this carries on. But Sammy, start of that round, instant 2-piece in Green.
Yeah, it was nuts. He just knew exactly what was coming. The blind hard counter. He had a teammate calling them out from that middle street trailer area. Perfectly played. 3-3. I'm on board with Veziak off the start of this round to see if he can make a similar defensive play happen like Sammy did last round.
He's going to stun straight down mid-street towards Ambulance there. And look at this play here from HyperGames. 3 pushing
Sammy
elbows.
again.
Sammy takes out all 3, I should say, on a 6 streak in S&D. And he only needs 1 more to get the ace.
Sammy, F baby, and the FS4 franchise picking up 3 kills, now pushing into green. I don't think any of the European people will understand any of my rap references I made all weekend long. Sammy loses that gunfight versus Tony JS. He's now in the 1-on-2. UFO and Palooka planning the bomb. This would be a massive momentum swing for HyperGames if Tony JS could clutch up this 1v3.
I just don't know how Sammy got those 3 kills. Got the first one in yellow. First one, I think, was actually behind him. And the third one up front yellow as well. So he was literally covering
that
all
timing.
angles. It's just typical Call of Duty for you there. Players literally next to each other, and then they run opposite ways. Tony is running out of time here. Needs his defuse. Surely just spotted someone in lockers, put some shots down, but Spirit Gaming just going to play to time here. Defuse is going to come in, though, but I don't think he's going to get this.
Yeah. Heads up play to check the bomb. 4-3. Spirit Gaming now in the lead. Jesus, man, these rounds have been so back and forth, Ink.
It's intense, it is.
You've asked all series long, you've been saying, you know, who do you predict, who do you think's going to take this? And all I've said is I couldn't even tell you. I could not even tell you. The last S&D went all the way to round 10. This time around, it's already at round number 8. Spirit Gaming so close to clutching up this series and almost guaranteeing that they won't be relegated.
Well, obviously, one thing we haven't mentioned yet, Spirit Gaming just 2 rounds away from guaranteeing HyperGames are relegated. That is the very real prospect.
Guarantee? I'm guessing
I'm pretty sure it is. Spirit Gaming will then go on 8 points.
I'm willing to say those things. You can tweet at Ink if that's wrong. Don't get mad at me. As Tojor picks up 2, Palooka's got the Moors. Veziak another 1v3. HyperGames again just falling apart.
Yeah, well, HyperGames, if they lose this series,
they're just shooting at him. They're not even trying to hit him.
Oh wow, Veziak helped Sammy there. Absolutely destroys him, but taken out there from Mid Atlas. Spirit Gaming celebrating in the booth. 1 round away from. I'm just saying it.
They're saying one more.
One more round.
UFO.
And they are safe.
Great use of the double jump there to pick up that final kill. So close to winning this series 4-2. Smiles on all the Spirit Gaming faces. This one is not done yet, though. We've seen some crazier comebacks this weekend and in the history of AW. Sammy, I'm going to hop on board with him off the start. He's had 2 rounds that he's almost single-handedly won himself. That really switched the momentum of this game. Off the start, though, it's risking getting aggressive towards middle map, picking up first blood.
Yeah, UFO picking up a 2-piece actually in and around mid-map ambulance area. Mellow, currently 5 and 7.
Well,
and now left in a 1v3. To keep
another
HyperGames
1v3.
in it,
That's going to do it.
Dusted.
Spirit Gaming will take the series 4-2. There's the hype from the players in the booth. Hugs going all around. I'm going to say it. I think that means there's no possible way Spirit Gaming can be relegated.
No, I think HyperGames are definitely down now. We're going to check that with the analysts when we throw it back to them. But Spirit Gaming will now move to 8 points. Epsilon on 7, HyperGames on 3. So even if they win their last remaining series, they will be on 6. And that will not be enough to get any level of survival. I mean, IGI, I suppose it's still possible they could stay out, but they would have to win 6-0, 6-0, which I don't think is going to happen. Let's just say that. But HyperGames, disappointing towards the end there in those S&Ds. Very unlucky in Biolab, but in that previous map, they were just so close. Then Sammy, back-to-back 3 pieces. Unbelievable performance.
I'd say the 2 most important Search and Destroy maps that Spirit Gaming played all season long.
And they look impressive.
And they were able to stop themselves from being relegated. Great stuff from them. Another very close series through and through from game 1 all the way to game number 6. Both those squads had so much on the line there, but HyperGames just couldn't make it happen when it mattered most.
Yeah, and it looks like most of us are going to be wrong with our predictions as well. Analysts wrong, we were wrong as well.
Always.
I thought that was probably going to finish a draw, maybe HyperGames sneak it, but Spirit, looks like that early practice kind of helped them out in a lot of ways. They lost the first map, but we saw this from HyperGames yesterday.
Yeah.
They win the first map, then kind of switch off a little bit, but what an unbelievable series that was.
Congratulations to Spirit Gaming taking that one with an overall map count 4-2. That's enough talking for Ink and I. We're going to send it back over to the analyst desk to hear their thoughts on that very close series.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Turns out my feelings are, misleading, to say the least. I did think the French were going to do it, but in the end, that extra practice for Spirit seemed to pay off.
Yeah, they surprised me. I really didn't expect them to take 2 respawns off HyperGames.
There are aspects of that match that were surprising, and we will go into depth on the moment and talk about a few things that maybe we picked up, especially early on. We were speaking about several points about both squads here. Yeah, it was a little bit surprising, and it's actually the more interesting thing for me is, yes, Spirit were good enough, but what does this actually mean for the French scene? Because realistically, the French has always been stronger than the Spanish or stronger than the Germans. They've always had a little bit above them, but for the best French team to get defeated by the Spanish squad kind of is asking a lot of questions about what on earth is going over in the French community.
Yeah, well,
I think it's even worse because HyperGames, well, the French are so well known for how good they are at Search and Destroy. Yeah. So for them to lose both Search and Destroy is fairly convincing as well. Was quite disappointing. I know HyperGames have had troubles in the seasons so far with Search and Destroy to begin with, but in those Search and Destroys, they look really lost. Their structure and their setups weren't particularly great. They had some good respawn moments, especially in the first map, and I thought that was going to tell the tale for the entire series. I thought they were going to walk away with it. But Spirit Gaming doing enough to keep in it. They had some good control in the respawns, which helped them win the 2. Search and Destroy was much more... It was a lot better, especially in the last map. They seemed to get a lot more first bloods than HyperGames, which ultimately converted into rounds for them.
They were on, at that point, they were just on fire and unstoppable. You could tell there was a lot of sound coming from the booth, and they were really hyped up. Like I said, it was, for me, I knew Spirit would get at least one S&D. I said this, I knew they'd get an S&D. I was 50-50 on the other one. I knew they would get at least a respawn. I was 50-50 on the other one, whether they'd get 2. It turns out they got 2 of both, which turned out different. I knew it wouldn't be a cut-and-shut game against HyperGames. I thought they were the strongest squad. Apparently, there are some issues that HyperGames now really need to work on if they're going to compete at a higher level. I mean, we saw Spirit Gaming, and they looked lackluster yesterday. They certainly didn't look good. They looked a lot better today. There was hype there. Some of their players were making really big plays. They were more aggressive at points, and it wasn't even just like reckless aggression. It was actually quite controlled, and they were pinching very well. So for me, this is actually a lot better Spirit squad than we did see yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I think that HyperGames hurt themselves. At the start of the season, Mello was actually on holiday, so Mello being the new addition to the actual squad, they haven't had the best of times gelling together and getting the practice in that they might have wanted, which I think has hurt them in the long run, and they haven't really been looking like the HyperGames that we're used to seeing. They haven't looked as dominant in a lot of the game modes that we're used to seeing. Obviously, really still a difference between them and the top tier teams, but at the same time, they finished 3rd last season. To see such a dramatic difference this season is really, really hurtful.
It is, and you got to wonder, continuing on, where these teams actually stand in relation to the rest of the league.
Yeah. Well, look, I think we're all geared up to have an interview, or we were. I've just been told we're not. It's a shame.
25 questions. It ruined everything.
It was going to be smooth. It was going to be so smooth. But just to pick up on your point, because we've talked about Mello at various points. You've said this is one of the best French players, and yet here he is languishing in a team that has ultimately sealed its fate as getting relegated. I mean, what does this mean for him individually?
I could see him potentially shifting teams. Is it a case of he does a guitar and picks up some other English talent? I mean, he used to, at the start, I said the start of the game, towards the early lifespan of Advanced Warfare, he was actually playing with Carnage, Marquee B, and I believe Rated as well, on Millennium. So is it, and he looked the best in the entire season of Advanced Warfare. He looked the best at that point in time. Is it a case if he goes back and finds some more English players or UK players to actually help take him to the next level? Because he's still very, very young. I believe he's only recently turned 18.
Yeah,
so
it's a question that actually has been talked about a little bit in the scene. It's certain players. I think I spoke about Broken at an event, saying realistically the French scene needs to integrate more with the UK scene. Not because hybrid teams are great because there is that language barrier, but more because I generally believe the French scene is lacking on chasing. They don't seem to be able to adapt to the game as quickly. And you saw it. I mean, Gataga right now is playing some of the best we've seen him play in years, and that for me that can only be because they've got in that squad. Same thing with some of the French squads. Remember the last French teams who've done good have had Tommy in their squad. Tommy's been in there and he's been teaching them how to, he plays. And because that follows the American meta, they're all of a sudden a lot better and they're playing a very different game of Call of Duty. So I think, yeah, hybrid squads, may become a little bit more common, simply because, in my opinion, it would actually strengthen the French squads.
Well, look, to the victor, the spoils. And we have got our man, Josh, who's been doing the interviews over the course of the weekend. He's looking absolutely ravishing today. He's like a vintage John Travolta, loads of chest on display. And he's got one of the chest. And he's got one of the members of Spirit Gaming with him right now. How are you doing today, boys?
Cheers, lads. I'm with UFO from Spirit Gaming. UFO, congratulations. I believe your victory has now consigned HyperGames and IGI to a relegation. Relief for you guys to escape?
Yeah, we just won 4-2, as you said, and we are in the next season of the Pro League. We are really happy. Yesterday we played, I think, really bad. Sammy's scarf broke that day, and we had to play with other issues, but we finally won HyperGames, and we are really, really happy about being on the next season.
Tell us about your own individual performance in the match. How do you feel about it?
First map was on Compound Hardpoint, the DLC map, and I felt really bad because I don't know where are the hardpoints and rotations and that stuff, but I think I played regular almost all the maps. On S&D I've got a better performance than in Respawn, but I think it was good.
Where do you think that Spain ranks now in the world of Call of Duty esports? Obviously, you're just taking out your French rivals, but usually it's normally English, French, and then Spanish, obviously in the ranks. Where do you think you are now?
Well, I think Spain is a really good country, has really good teams, but we never went to an European event to prove everyone wrong. But this month we couldn't scream really much. But we finally proved that we are a top European team. Yeah.
Well, against Epsilon in your next match, that will be obviously a good way of proving that.
Yeah, we don't really care about the result, to be honest, because we are in the league. But if we win, we are going to be really hyped.
Okay. On to Black Ops 3. Just a quick word about how you guys think you can do moving on to the next game.
Well, we played really. I don't know how to say it. We didn't play the beta too much because we were focused on the Pro League and that stuff. And in Xbox One is really bad, I think. But I like the game. I think it's gonna be a good year of esports. Let's trust in Treyarch.
Congratulations. Good luck. Obviously your next match. And back to the wonderful studio.
So we were just working out the league title
yeah,
standings
there's a conversation going on.
Trying to do some maths. So.
I mean, Epsilon versus Spirit Gaming later. Apparently.
Yeah,
so that is going to be a good game.
We're trying to figure it out if it's possible for Spirit Gaming to leapfrog Epsilon if they win that game. And my brain's telling me that they can.
Yeah,
but I might be wrong. My brain often is.
Well, something that you brought up in that short break, and we will double check as soon as we kind of come off air and have a look here. But I kind of want to jump into that game here because
let's do it.
Before I forget some of the points I was kind of making down. First hard point I want to talk about here because yesterday, I was quite harsh about the Spanish, and I think some of it was justified, and some of it was aimed at Palooka, and there were excuses coming out that I saw about his auto aim may have been off or something. These are stuff that was floating around the Twitter sphere, and I picked up on. However, he did not have an excuse in that first game, and he genuinely played terribly. He made up for it later in the series. I'm going to just put that out there for everyone. He made up for it later in the series. But me and you were talking about it. First 5 minutes of that first hard point, he went 3 and 15. Yeah, that's 3 kills in 5 minutes over 5 rotations. So he was basically irrelevant.
Wait for the kicker.
Now, bearing in mind that up to the halfway point, both squads weren't that far away from each other. There's very few points
about
actually.
90 to 100, something like that.
Yeah, very few points. At the half, HyperGames started screaming ahead, but Palooka actually almost made a lot more kills.
In the end,
a lot more kills. So you've got to be asking, right? If you make 3 and 15, but your team's kind of equal, and then in the second half you're actually making, I think it was like 15 to 12 or 15 to 10 or whatever it was, but your team are getting smashed. What on earth are you actually doing? Like, this makes absolutely no sense. So it's either he's slowed down and he's just trying to slay more, but it's kind of being irrelevant and he's not doing objective work. Maybe he was doing objective work for the 3 and 15 and they stayed ahead and he was dying a lot because of it, although he should be making more kills in 5 minutes. Or in second half, he changed tactic, which, although it gave him more kills, made the team worse. So what on earth was he doing? It didn't make any sense.
Any chance that any blame for that can be laid on the leader? Perhaps he's told him to change the way he plays.
This is the other thing, right?
Okay.
I'm asking what he was doing because I don't know. But at some point you'll be asking it. I'm not putting solely on his shoulders. I'm just knowing that the stats me and you were looking at going, you know, how is that happened? If a player's going 3 and 15 and they're, you know, more or less drawing, and then in the second half they get absolutely rolled, but he's doing better. What has changed in his role? Where has it gone wrong? Of Spirit changed something up? I mean, admittedly, HyperGames did seem to be getting better and more kills. So for me, what I suspect was happening was, although HyperGames were heating up, I think Palooka was playing more passively for kills at that point.
Yeah.
And that HyperGames were actually able to just play the objective more because of it. So, he changed his tactic to try and add more slaying, and it didn't work. So whether or not that was a call from his teammates or not, so you can't just go, you're awful. What you can say is, whatever tactic was integrated in that second half was not a good one.
Yeah, for me it was 3 and 15, but they're still keeping it pretty competitive throughout that first half, which means to me that he is playing his role. He's not doing his job properly, but he's playing the role and he's benefiting the team in that way. Then overall at the end, he ends 24 and 37. Not a great score, let's be honest with it. Not a great score at all. But he manages to make 21 kills out of the second half of the hard point, which to me, as you said, tells me he's playing passive. He's not doing his job anymore. He's changed his tactics.
He must have changed his tactics.
For me, he's now playing for himself rather than the team. He's now thinking more selfish, just to save the embarrassment of having a really bad score. And it
could have been a call from his team. It could have been a call from his team, and he might be completely blame-free.
I think he's thinking that if he's making kills, he's stopping people getting to the hard point. He's stopping HyperGames momentum, which didn't happen because they still held control of the hard points, which tells me now he's making kills that are completely irrelevant to what's happening on the actual map. Comes to map 2,
he's amazing.
He's amazing. Like, Spirit Gaming, it's clearly a map.
Completely different players.
It's a map they've clearly practiced properly because he said that he didn't really know the hard point rotations. I don't really know how you can play a map like this in the Pro League and not really know the hard point rotations. I've watched it probably 2 or 3 times and I already know them pretty much off by heart. But the setups were much better from Spirit Gaming. They made some great rotations. They stringed them together. They held the hard points longer than HyperGames. Although someone like Mello had such a great game, he just could not impact enough to bring them forward. Map 3, we go to comeback. I mean,
just before we go on to that, I want to point out map 2. A lot of that was Palooka, and as much as we bashed him on the first map, second map he did a lot of the work. So you got to be asking, like, that's why I wanted to point out in that first map, we don't know whether it was tactics or whether it was calls, because whatever happened in map 1, clearly there was something not working. But map 2, Palooka, he was top fragging us all a lot of the time. He was doing a lot of work, just being everywhere he needed to be. So I'm wondering, maybe it was a lack of practice. Maybe they're just not good at that map. And as much as we kind of bashed on Palooka, everything he did wrong in map 1, I think he did fantastically in map 2.
Yeah, he fixed it.
Third map, it comes to uplink or comeback. No one really held glass control very well in that. You saw a lot of points. You saw a lot of points going on the weaker side of the actual map, which was down to not really having much glass control. No one could, although it's a little bit more difficult to hold glass pushing the stronger side, it's the stronger side because you've got so many more options to get points from. And in this circumstance,
but both teams failed.
This circumstance, no one seemed to be able to hold it properly, but they could hold it pretty well going the opposite direction, which is why so many points came in. And I've got to point out, Tony JS really didn't hold it down properly. Could not seem to stay in there long enough. His bow wasn't particularly the best.
Because the same thing happened map 2. Retreat, technically an AR-orientated map. Some of the best ARs in the world will drop massive numbers on retreat.
He was in the hill half the time.
Exactly. So Tony JS clearly didn't have a great game on that hard point. And then going into map 3, glass control was a myth for that squad, but for both teams to do better on what is technically the worst side, and for that to actually happen, and I said it was a bit of a scrap fest a lot of the time. I'm sitting there like, when the half changed, I went, they're only 3 points, they're going to lose, and I was like, well, hold on a minute, what on earth is going on? This is, both teams doing really well, but there wasn't even like a lockdown. There was no spawn, locking them into green. They just seemed to just kind of be scrapping and not getting any glass control for HyperGames, and that let them down in the end.
And then for me, just Map 4, Spirit Gaming held the control. It was a bit of scrappy towards the end. Both of them had a good, stronger half in the actual uplink itself.
Yeah.
But from there, Spirit Gaming just managed to nick it in the end, and then the Search and Destroy was just too one-sided. I mean, Spirit Gaming clearly more practiced on Search. I don't think HyperGames Search is quite up to scratch quite now.
Yeah, well, look, thanks a lot for your thoughts. Obviously, lots to put right for Spirit Gaming before they play Epsilon.
Well, that's a good point, actually. Just sorry to interrupt you, but
no, it's all right.
It's a good point because Spirit Gaming looked a lot better today, and Epsilon's a real benchmark.
Yeah.
Because it not only sets where Spirit Gaming are in terms of top squads, but it sets where Epsilon are after their disappointing performance yesterday.
All right. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to a short commercial break, and obviously we'll be back after that. And when we come back, we're going to be bringing you some analysis, some pre-match analysis of IGI Esports versus VWS Gaming. That's going to be the seasonal whipping boys going up against a resurgent UK team who are looking to get in amongst the money. We'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Wait, you're not on it? I'm on it. 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 Where are you at?
Choice it would be, but he doesn't pull it. Gets it. There's one. Oh, it's
no,
going to be close.
He gets the second one. Clay, the MVP with the 2 snipes, all smiles, high fives coming from attach. The birthday boy able to pick it up.
Wow, and look at that, the accuracy there. And I mean, you know, in those close quarters.
They didn't really have full control. They were defending the flag over and over again. And I think they're doing it. Eventually, you will get overwhelmed in that position. The other thing, we'll be able to eventually break it, get like maybe get a 2-piece of touch. Oh my goodness! There's the 4-2. Can he pick it up? He gets it. Oh my! The entire team at TCM taken out in a matter of seconds. Attach, man, he is young. He is still developing as a player, but God, he is.